number that would be calling. I'm again just finding out all of these things for the first time because I thought everything was worked out earlier. So they can call in if they want to with any questions. But all of you on the Zoom, please do not hesitate to give us your views on church and state when we get to it. So yes, let's launch the what I call a debate between the bishop and the archbishop and the priest. Annette.
Yes, let me try to get that going. It's amazing how we miss Elizabeth when she's not here.
I know, incredible that something as simple as this becomes tricky. But yes. we'll learn the lesson and we'll do better the next time. Next week, certainly.
Certainly.
It's a worthwhile experience.
Yes.
Donc, Annette, voilà. Let's go.
Les évêques du Cameroun sont en séminaire à Kumba ces jours-ci. Et dans son discours d'ouverture, Monseigneur André Nkeya, président de la conférence épiscopale du Cameroun, demande aux Camerounais laïcs d'assumer leurs responsabilités politiques et sociales et de laisser les évêques proclamer l'évangile. Suivez.
Cameroonian people, take your responsibilities and leave the bishops to preach their gospel.
Alors, on a envie de se demander de quel évangile s'agit-il, si ce n'est celui de la vérité et de la justice qui libère. Y aurait-il une église des laïcs et une église des évêques? Suivez encore.
I therefore call on Cameroonians of all walks of life to take their responsibilities as political actors and stop hiding behind the Catholic Church and expecting her to do their duty.
Monseigneur Nkeya, c'est exactement ce que font les laïcs. C'est ce qu'ils ont fait après la fraude électorale du 12 octobre. Ils sont descendus dans la rue pour protester et aucun évêque n'était dans la rue avec eux. On dénombre aujourd'hui une quarantaine de morts et près de 2000 prisonniers qui croupissent dans les geôles du régime Biya. Et pendant ce temps, les évêques sont dans leur palais. Oui, ils assument leurs responsabilités. Ne leur donnez pas des leçons. Oui, les brebis payent le prix que les bergers que vous êtes, que nous sommes, n'osent pas payer. Ne leur donnons pas des leçons de responsabilité, s'il vous plaît. Personne ne se cache derrière l'Église catholique si ce ne sont les évêques eux-mêmes qui n'assument pas pleinement leur responsabilité de berger face aux loups. Le Christ lui-même dit, moi je suis le bon pasteur, le vrai berger qui donne sa vie pour ses brebis. C'est dans Jean chapitre 10, verset 11. Monseigneur Nkeya, combien sont morts dans le nozo, dans la lutte pour la justice et la vérité? Vous ne pouvez pas venir aujourd'hui dire que ce peuple meurtri n'assume pas ses responsabilités. Mais c'est quoi l'Église catholique? Sinon celle des évêques et des laïcs au service de la même vérité et de la même justice. Il y a là une ecclésiologie qui ne tient pas la route. Bien sûr, les distinctions de fonctions sont nécessaires. Bien sûr, c'est la responsabilité première des laïcs d'assumer avec intégrité les charges sociales et politiques. Mais c'est toujours avec le soutien des bergers que sont les évêques. Les évêques ne peuvent pas abandonner les brebis aux loups. En fait, Monseigneur Nkeya ne supporte pas qu'on reproche à l'Église son silence pendant la crise post-électorale. Parce que l'Église, dit-il, n'est pas une structure politique. Suivez.
An Episcopal Conference is not a political party, nor is it an electoral commission or a constitutional commission to give results of elections in various countries. An Episcopal Conference is not an institution to be manipulated by political individuals and stakeholders with grievances against the state.
Bien sûr, tout le monde reconnaît que l'Église n'est pas une structure politique et ne doit pas faire de la politique partisane. Mais elle doit, comme vous le dites en citant Saint Paul, suivez.
And like St. Paul says in the second letter to Timothy, chapter 4, verse 2, proclaim the message, and welcome or unwelcomed, insist on it. Refute falsehood, correct error, give encouragement, but do all with patience and with care to instruct.
Dénoncer le faux et corriger l'erreur. La conférence épiscopale a eu l'occasion de dénoncer le faux de la fraude électorale et elle s'est tue pour ne pas déranger Hérode au pouvoir. Monseigneur Kéa pourtant reconnaît que la préélection est marquée par l'incertitude. Suivez.
We are meeting in a national context still marked by an uncertain post-electoral atmosphere. However, God, master of time and history, calls us to move forward with hope.
Mais d'où vient l'incertitude, Monseigneur Kéa? Pourquoi évitez-vous des questions difficiles? D'où vient l'incertitude? Elle vient du sentiment qu'à ce peuple dont vous êtes les bergers, que leur victoire leur a été volée. Ils attendent que les bergers les aident à rétablir la vérité. Alors, Monseigneur Kéa, vous affirmez pourtant que la conférence épiscopale a diligenté une opération d'observation électorale. Suivez.
Following the publication of our letter on the presidential election, we have, as in the past, decided to take part in the observation of the 2025 presidential election through the Episcopal Commission for Justice and Peace of our National Episcopal Conference. They thus covered 12,257 out of 31,635 polling stations, or approximately 39% spread across the country's 10 regions. In all the polling stations observed, the results for each candidate were made public. The public nature of the vote count allowed voters to identify with the announced results, and they left generally satisfied from their polling stations. However, they expressed hope that they would also identify with the results published by the Constitutional Council and that nothing would be altered by the authorities involved in this process.
Mais pourquoi dépenser des millions dans l'observation électorale si ce n'est pour aider à la manifestation de la vérité? On ne demande pas à la conférence épiscopale de se substituer à Elekam ou à la Cour constitutionnelle, mais de dire la vérité des faits que ces observateurs ont établis dans les 39% de bureaux de vote. Quels sont les résultats dans ces bureaux de vote? Les évêques ont-ils peur de dire la vérité? Comme d'autres hommes politiques, calculateurs, opportunistes, qui cachent leur...
Of the official announcement of the presidential election results by the Constitutional Council. Unfortunately, contrary to what we had hoped for in our pastoral letter in 2025, our country experienced the inevitability of post-election violence with significant material damage and, sadly, loss of life. This is a situation that we deplored and strongly condemned.
Vous regrettez la violence post-électorale avec un amalgame troublant. Là, vous mélangez les dégâts matériels et les pertes en vie humaine, sans reconnaître que les manifestants n'ont tué personne et que c'est l'État camerounais qui a tué en tirant à bout portant sur des civils et qu'aujourd'hui, Des milliers sont emprisonnés dans des conditions inhumaines. Aucune vie humaine ne vaut un dégât matériel, quelle que soit l'ampleur.
En tant que pasteur, nous avons réaffirmé et réaffirmerons encore la mission d'évangélisation de l'Église qui doit prioritairement tenir compte de la promotion de la dignité humaine, de la fraternité et de la solidarité, loin de toute partisanerie politique. The church will continue her prophetic and evangelization mission.
Monseigneur Keya, c'est le souhait de tous. Mais la conférence épiscopale, pour l'instant, n'assume pas courageusement sa fonction prophétique dans la société camerounaise. Je regrette de vous le dire. Soit vous avez peur du régime Biya, soit vous ne savez pas pourquoi vous êtes évêque dans un pays meurtri comme le Cameroun. Que Dieu garde notre peuple, notre secours dans le nom du Seigneur qui a fait le ciel et la terre. Chers frères et sœurs en Christ, comme vous le savez, les évêques du Cameroun sont en séminaire à Kumba ces jours-ci.
Thank you, Eric. That was it.
Yeah.
Very informative.
Yes. Thanks, Annette. And I hope we'll fixed the problem with Kingsley and the news summary from Mimi Mefo Info. But let's, we cannot let go this opportunity to open up this debate about the role of the church and the state. You heard, I don't think any one of us wants to take on the church, and certainly not take on a distinguished man of God, whom Archbishop Nkeya is. But there's clearly a problem. We all heard the Archbishop talk about the fact that the Episcopal Conference is not a political institution. That is very, very clear. But he said after the elections, they left satisfied and hoped that nothing will be altered. But clearly, there's a clear hint that something was altered by the Constitutional Council. The Archbishop goes on to talk about the fact that our country experienced post-electoral violence, but does not say why. This is what we ask for. How did we go from being satisfied with what they saw and recording the difference in what the Constitutional Council said? This is the point. The church has a duty to tell the rest of us, to tell the world what honestly happened in Cameroon, because that's what's responsible for the crisis in the country today. That's what's responsible for the inability of the current government to take control of the nation. We will remain in a state of suspense until this fundamental question is answered. What happened on October 12th? And who won the elections? I have spoken personally to a range of people. People I was hoping would tell me, well, the CPDM actually won. And when you dig deeper, virtually everyone says Chiroma won. We're not inventing this. No reason for trying to impose a Chiroma win. No reason. But if that's the will of the people of Cameroon, what is it that makes it so impossible for somebody else to replace Mr. Biya as president of Cameroon? That's the question we're asking. And it's clearly not about Mr. Biya anymore. We don't know how much control Mr. Biya has over the process. It cannot be about him anymore. So it's about people who are not elected. It is about people who are not elected. That is why there can be we cannot return to things as usual in Cameroon until this question is resolved. And all of us have a duty. We have a duty to tell everyone in Cameroon and outside of Cameroon that we want our country to be normal. We want our country to get back on the road of development. We want things to be like everywhere else. After an election, we know who won, and then they have the responsibility for running the affairs of the country for the next mandate. That's all we want. It's not against anybody. It's for the country. Je le dis et je le répète. Project C, personne n'est contre un individu au Cameroun. Personne n'est contre la grande dame de la République, Madame Chantal Biya. Personne. Ni Ngongo et tous ces autres-là. Mais ils ne sont pas élus. Donc, ils ne doivent pas gouverner le Cameroun. Le président Biya n'est plus au contrôle parce que je suis sûr que si le président Biya était au contrôle, il allait reconnaître sa défaite. Le président Biya, comme le RDPC, mais le président Biya a perdu les dernières élections présidentielles au Cameroun. C'est la vérité. Et il faut que tous ceux qui aiment ce pays, qui aimeraient voir la fin de cette violence post-électorale qui s'est imposée, n'est-ce pas, à notre pays et qui nous empêche de reprendre la vie normalement, qui donne une image négative du Cameroun au monde entier, qui a poussé, n'est-ce pas, les institutions qui normalement devaient être nos partenaires, comme la Banque africaine de développement, la Banque mondiale, le FMI, la Commission européenne et tout ça, ce sont nos amis. Ils devaient normalement être nos partenaires dans la recherche, n'est-ce pas, des voies et moyens de remettre ce pays sur les rails. Mais eux tous doutent de la situation à Yaoundé. Et ça nous embête tous. C'est de ça qu'il s'agit. Alors donc, la question que vient de poser le révérend Ludovic à l'archevêque, c'est pourquoi ne pas reconnaître donc la vérité? Question de vérité. Pourquoi ne pas reconnaître la vérité? C'est quoi le problème pour l'Église de confronter une vérité qui peut sauver les vies, une vérité qui peut changer, n'est-ce pas, la situation qui s'est imposée dans un pays, situation de violence. Qu'est-ce qui empêche à l'Église? On ne dit pas à l'Église de changer le résultat que le Conseil constitutionnel veut imposer, a imposé d'ailleurs. Non, ce n'est pas de ça qu'il s'agit. Ce qu'on demande aujourd'hui à l'Église, même après ce résultat, n'est-ce pas, imposé par le Conseil, ce qu'on demande, c'est de nous dire ce qui est sorti des urnes. C'est que les 12 000, ce qui est sorti, n'est-ce pas, des 12 000 bureaux de vote que l'Église a vu, a surveillé. Ils avaient l'autorisation du gouvernement de surveiller ces urnes, ces bureaux de vote. Qu'est-ce qui en est sorti? Et c'est ça la question qu'on se pose. Et moi, j'espère que tous ceux qui sont avec nous aujourd'hui, dans cette conférence Zoom, sur les différentes plateformes, vont insister là-dessus, reposer cette question, demander que l'Église dise au monde entier la vérité. L'Église n'a pas le droit de cacher cette vérité. Parce que c'est cette vérité qui va sauver les vies. C'est cette vérité qui va nous sauver. The truth will save you. I'm not the one saying this, because truth is absolute. Truth does not come in halves. The truth is absolute. Save Cameroon. Let the truth save Cameroon. Let the church in Cameroon stand with the truth. And the good thing is there are people in the Catholic Church in Cameroon who want to stand with the truth. We know that the Archbishop of Douala, Cleda, for example, has insisted on the need to stand with the truth. Let the church do that. Tell us, so that we save lives, so that we can avoid the violence in the country, so that we can get back on the road of development and progress in Cameroon. And bring back Issa Chiroma, who, by all accounts, seems to have won. Let him come back to Cameroon. Why is he on exile? Why is it that everybody who's come close to or actually beaten Mr. Biya in elections, why is it that they have to suffer? Why is it that Frundi had to stay under house arrest after he beat Mr. Biya in 1992? That Maurice Kamto had to be in jail for attempting and coming close, maybe, to actually beating Mr. Biya, had to go to jail. And that Issa Chiroma, who comes close or actually beats Mr. Biya, has to go on exile. Mais c'est quoi avec le Cameroun? C'est quoi avec le Cameroun? Que ceux qui menacent le pouvoir soient éjectés du système, emprisonnés, mis en résidence surveillée ou sont obligés d'aller en exil. Why is this happening? C'est ça la question qu'on doit se poser. Chaque Camerounais doit se poser cette question. And not accept the situation that we have in the country now. And I want all of our friends, all of our families and friends in Cameroon to know that we are not against them. We are for the country. We are for Cameroon. C'est de ça qu'il s'agit. So we'll be talking about all of these things, about truth, about faith.
Eric, I think I'll just want to step into a bit, because you've touched on the issue of the bishops and what the Archbishop Nkea said with regards to the numbers that they got accreditation for. Yes, and it's important to also get some things into context here.
That's important. Very much. Yes. I know you are following this up as one of the people monitoring those elections. So please
one of the things is that in the DRC, historically, we've seen how bishops stepped in Malawi. We've seen that, and something that he fundamentally forgets to acknowledge there is the mere fact that you, as a Catholic institution, as a church institution, when you ask for accreditations and you are not given, that already it becomes a problem. He didn't highlight that as a problem. You asked for 300 and something, and then they were given just 200 and something. That automatically is a problem that you should, because you have just been limited in your ability to oversee the elections. Archbishop Nkea ignores that problem. Tanganji should not sit in a position where he decides how many people should be at which polling stations, because the law allows that anyone who has the ability to be at the polling unit should be there. So basically, that is the first step where we see that it's not just the result itself, the process was already manipulated in favor of someone. The Minister of Territorial Administration, who paradoxically also was campaigning for the CPDM on the ministerial social media, basically showing that he is using a state institution in favor of a political party, suddenly was the one who decided how many people the church could send. He should have challenged that. The moment that happened, they should have challenged it. That's the first thing. The second thing is that DISO, the project that we worked on with Michel Ndoki, we showed them using the law that you do not actually need accreditation if you want to do something parallel, because accreditation means you're basically asking the person you want to. It's like you want to, you've been called to investigate someone, but you need their permission to investigate them. You want to because the whole reason for monitoring is so that you can be able to sit. If Elecam was doing its job, you don't need monitors. You don't need a third party. The fact that you need them is because Elecam, which is working in tandem with the Minister of Territorial Administration, they have proven over and over that they are not to be trusted. So we need a third party, an objective bystander who does it. Now, you do not require, you just need to inform them that we have, because the Catholic Church can have people in all the 31,000 polling units. Why not? The Catholic Church is across every part of Cameroon. So the mere fact that the Catholic Church couldn't have already, it means that there's a problem. But what we did was that we did not just sit back and wait, because most times people think you sit back and you wait and then you criticize afterwards. What DISO did was that we wrote a letter to each and every one of them, including Archbishop Nkeya. He got a letter from the DISO project where we explained to him exactly what we were doing. Then there was a bishop who told us that the Michel should meet with the Secretary General of the Episcopal Council in Yaoundé. Michel traveled to meet with the person. Michel Doki went there, and they didn't meet with her. They kept her waiting and all that. We wrote to all these bishops. We wrote to priests in some of the dioceses. We wrote to a lot of them, explaining to them why it was important that the truth of the ballot was known as it happened. And one thing we said was to uphold peace, which is a mandate that they are called upon to preach. In the Gospel of Luke, Jesus Christ describes his mission, that he has come to preach peace to the brokenhearted, to liberate the captives. That is Jesus's mandate that he is called as a bishop to uphold. He fails in that fundamental thing when he sees something that is going to lead to chaos and he does not do something to stand for it. I mean, I don't understand. I listened to him. So maybe people don't know. I was a Catholic seminarian for 7 years. So I understand the doctrines of the church. I can go back again and start looking at Catholic Papal encyclicals. There is no pope.
Yeah,
there's no pope that has come and has not written encyclicals that looks at social justice. It's a fundamental mission of the Catholic Church to talk about social justice, to talk about all these things that happen. I mean, Pope Paul VI and Pope John Paul II. I mean, the problem in Poland was solved by Pope John Paul II. It's political. So what exactly is he talking about? What exactly is his role? Because this was the point, was that we need to avoid peace. We need to avoid conflict. We need to avoid the violence that took. Now they failed and 64 people at least died. And this is what Father Ludovic is not happy about, is that there are people in prison, all of that because the church chose to be silent. And we are talking about, he was opening an Episcopal conference there as the president. What he didn't say there was that some of the bishops abandoned the Episcopal conference and went to Yaoundé to shake hands with Biya for a few seconds.
Tell us, Kingsley, do we know what the church's own count? We're not asking for the church to declare the victory of Biya or Chiroma. We just want, do you know, and you were very close to this, do you know who of the 12,000 votes came out in the lead? Do you know? Do you have that information?
They've not released it, but then, I mean, he himself, Nkeya, would know, because he went through the seminary and he studied philosophy, and there's something called deduction. You can deduce a conclusion. There's a principle of deduction in logic, where if the Constitutional Council's results that they announced matched what Nkeya had found, and the Catholic Church had found, then the Catholic Church would have simply just put it out because it confirms, it's an affirmation, then there's no contradiction. The mere fact that they chose to be silent meant that there was a contradiction and they're avoiding conflict with the state. And he said, when you look at, you've just analyzed that, he said he saw what they saw, they were happy because, of course, everyone, he is a Cameroonian. If a Cameroonian should focus on this and leave the bishops, oh, he's no more a Cameroonian because he's now a bishop. You are a Cameroonian. You are first and foremost a Cameroonian, and secondly a bishop. So basically, they were happy because everyone wanted change, and they thought, you know what, what they had seen was so overwhelming that there was going to be no issue here. Then they noted, now this is the thing, there's a change in tone. They now noted the decisions of the Constitutional Council. So he shifts from they being happy to noting. That means it is a contradiction. Now that is where the bishop has failed, and he continues to fail. The whole Episcopal Council fails us Catholics. Those of us who are so embedded in the church, we feel that, and people are asking, I've seen someone ask why we are just talking about the Catholic Church. It's because it's the biggest church in Cameroon, in the world.
Kingsley, we'll have to go to the Mimimefo report, but just before we do that, I've just noticed someone say that the Father Ludovic published those church results. We just want to know what did the results show, and I want to call on Leopold Nzese, who saw what was published, and for him to tell us what he saw. We're not asking for anybody to determine what the outcome was, but just tell us what you saw.
What you saw
coming out of those 12,000 ballot boxes.
Eric, I mean, it will be shocking if we are pretending that we don't know what the results are, because this all had similar results. We had results, and we know who won the elections. We called it out that Issa Chiroma Bakari won. So
from this, you're telling everybody that from Disso's point of view, Issa Bakari won. You're saying that.
Yes, of course.
Can you just let Mr. Nzoso, who saw the published results by the Father Ludovic, can we just let Leopold, can you just come in and tell us what you saw? You know, this is a small problem that we need to resolve. What did people actually
it's good
see?
that, I mean, now we are just establishing that if we know the truth.
Yes.
The church saw the truth, and then Father Archbishop Kea chooses to be quiet. Then we can live here knowing that he basically chose to either lie on the pulpit or he chose to be silent, which is part of complicity. So that's just what.
Absolutely. So Leopold, it's over to you if you're there. Can we bring him in?
Yeah. Thank you, Eric. Actually, Kingsley said it all. What Father Ludovic Lado published in November was clear enough that Mr. Chiroma won the elections with no doubt. And he took the responsibility to publish it because, you know, the church was still hesitating. And this betrays the fact that actually the system, Mr. Bia, lost the elections. That's it. And I'll find the document again. It was a one-page document. I'll find it and make it public again in our forums.
Okay. Thank you very much, Leopold. So we'll, again, you know, I'm sure either the Archbishop or somebody close to him is following this program. And all I want to ask, I have the utmost respect for Bishop Nkea, and he's a wonderful person, and I really hope that he understands where we are coming from when we say, just tell us what you saw. We're not saying change the results, just tell us what you saw. If Chiroma won based on your count, say it. Find the courage. The church should find the courage to say it, because it is that which has led to the frustrations that we are seeing. So anybody who's close to the Archbishop, please get this message to him that Cameroon needs to know the truth. It is the truth that will save us. And having said that, Kingsley, can you give us a summary of what happened in the week, if you have that, and if you don't, then we'll go on to the next thing. Kingsley?
I do have it. Kingsley
Yes.
has
Coming from either Annette or Judith.
Okay, Annette, please.
I do have it. Kingsley has shared that with me. so I will be sharing it. However, I would like, sorry about that. However, I would like to take this minute just to talk a little bit about fundraising. As we all know, we are getting into 2026, and our mission here has never been more critical. We are mobilizing resources to protect our civic space. The voice of the people cannot be silenced. In order to do that, we need to mobilize resources. So please, if you'd be so kind as to think about this as you get into 2026, our president-elect is still out there. People in Cameroon have their backs against the wall. We have a lot of children, 14 years old, arrested, thrown in jails with adults just because they stood out to speak. This is not acceptable, and Project C has been working along with other civil societies on the ground to come to their aid. So please do not forget about that. Do not forget about the people who have put their necks out there. We have a lot of our civil society leaders that are in jail. Jekam Kamini is still in jail, and a lot of other people. There should be no political prisoners. Nobody should be arrested and locked up for their opinions. So please do not forget this as you go about making your budgets for the year. Do not forget about this. They stood up so we would have the right to walk around free. So please think about them. At this point, Eric, I will go on to share the video with you.
And I realize that I think Ari is back, which is wonderful. I hope it's the case, and that he'll take this over immediately. Thank you, Annette, for watching.
So I will just, as usual, it is a try and error at this stage. So, but we should be good. I think this should work.
In Cameroon this week. The National Episcopal Conference of Cameroon has just concluded its annual conference in Kumba in the Southwest region. And for the first time since the disputed 2025 presidential election took place, the church's leadership is public criticisms.
Pardon?
Conference President Kia pushed back
sharing. I don't know if it's me.
Oh, the video is not sharing.
He said,
We don't have the video.
Hear what's
Oh.
and when the
Okay.
bishops
You want to
do
start
not
again?
say
Let's have the video.
Yes, I will start it again.
place,
This
putting
is,
St. Paul, Archbishop Kia.
as I said, this is
role is to preach.
all in trial and
Yes.
error. What are you getting? What are you
We
seeing?
just
right
see your
now.
name.
Because I tried. Oh, okay. Let me try again.
And it's good that Ray is going through seeing this from the other side. So
Okay.
He
So
knows- he knows what happens when he's not here.
I endeavor to do this again.
Mm.
Share. Yes. Huh. Okay, that.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to
Can you see?
No,
New
you
Story
still
from
cannot.
Times on this
And
week.
it looks like
this
you
is
pressed
actually-
the wrong button.
Cameroon has just
Yeah, we
concluded
could see it and then it went off, Annette.
because
oh, really?
First time since the disputed 2025 presidential election took place.
Do you see it now?
Leadership is responding directly.
No, we hear Mimi speaking, but we do not see the video.
Back strongly against
And again, apologies to everybody. I hope you're enjoying this this human process as we we learn together what happens in the back office.
Yes. So I must, Eric, you can just go on and let me see what's happening, because I did it correctly.
Yeah.
So I just wonder what the challenge is. Yeah.
Right. We saw what you clicked on, and it was not the start. You clicked on something else, and it took off the image.
No problem.
Figure it out very simply.
One more try.
OK. Toutes nos excuses, hein, mais j'espère que tous ceux qui sont avec nous, vous voyez comment quand Harry et Elisabeth ne sont pas là, Judith aussi était en congé. Il y a eu toutes ces difficultés-là, mais bon, on va les régler. Puis j'espère que la semaine prochaine, tout va mieux se passer. OK.
So, do you see anything at all?
Yes, we see the...
You see my list?
Yes.
Click on the video, yeah.
Voilà, click on that.
Ladies and gentlemen,
is that good?
It's just giving us the audio, not the video.
Okay. For some reason, I am having a problem.
You had the video earlier.
You had it right earlier. So you click, click on the...
This is... yeah, technology at its best.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to some of the top news stories that made headlines in Cameroon this week. The National Episcopal Conference of Cameroon has just concluded its annual conference in Kumba in the southwest region. And for the first time since the disputed 2025 presidential election took place, the church's leadership is responding directly to public criticisms. Conference President Andrew Kia pushed back strongly against accusations of silence and complicity. He said that some Cameroonians only want to hear what suits them, and when the bishops do not say it, they are accused of siding with the power in place. Quoting St. Paul, Archbishop Kia insisted that the church's role is to preach, to correct, and to instruct, whether welcomed or not. And he ended with a very clear message. Let me quote him. Cameroonian people, take your responsibilities and leave the bishops to preach their gospel. But facts matter, right? Ahead of the elections, the bishops had planned to deploy 307 observers nationwide. The Ministry of Territorial Administration accredited only 202. Even with these limits, the Catholic Church still covered 12,257 polling stations out of the 31,635, roughly 39% across the national territory. This was not marginal observation. In addition to other civil society observers who said Issa Shoma Bakari won the election, this was one of the largest independent monitoring efforts in the country. Now, the church says that its Justice and Peace Commission recorded a positive assessment in areas where observers were present. But there was no detailed public accounting of what observers saw, no explanation of discrepancies, no engagement with widespread allegations of ballot stuffing involving the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, the CPDM. Instead, the bishops took note of the results declared by the Constitutional Council, stressing correctly that declaring results is not their role. They also strongly condemned post-election violence in Cameroon. The reason why we are bringing these facts and figures is because the church is right that it is not their role. In this story is that all the victims are young Cameroonians, and on the other side, young Cameroonian soldiers continue to die as well. But killings alone are not a strategy. They never have been since the start of this conflict. Biya and the CPDM did not acknowledge the death of their own MP. They never bother when soldiers are even killed. We have a lot of examples. This is what makes this story very important, because it is not just the bloodshed. It is the political failure behind it. Throughout the 2025 presidential campaign, nearly every opposition candidate proposed a plan, dialogue, decentralization, federalism, some roadmap to end the Anglophone crisis. They had a lot of ideas, but one party did not. The ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement Party offered no solution and yet controversially retained power. The result is what we see today: a war with no end in sight, a generation growing up with guns instead of schools, pens, and books, a state that keeps winning elections but keeps losing its people. In international news, we go to Venezuela, where the world is watching very closely as the United States, led by President Donald Trump, captured President Nicolas Maduro in a direct military operation on Venezuelan oil. This was a violation of international law and something that many experts and countries have condemned in very strong terms. The message from Washington was unmistakably that rules apply only when they do not affect interests. The violation of Venezuela's sovereignty is about oil. So, as long as it serves US interests, international norms are thrown into the dustbin. So, why is this story important? For Cameroonians and for regimes that cling to power through disputed elections, the lesson runs very, very deep. Maduro did not just lose legitimacy abroad, he lost legitimacy even at home. And when a leader fractures his own country by stealing elections, repressing dissent, and hollowing out of institutions, that country becomes vulnerable to chaos, to pressure, and yes, to foreign intervention. For the Paul Biya regime, the warning is very, very clear. Illegitimacy weakens sovereignty. A divided nation cannot defend itself politically, morally, and militarily. Venezuela is no longer just a foreign country. Venezuela is not just another foreign story. It is a mirror through which dictators should see how easily they can be betrayed by their own people. And those were our top stories this week. These stories all point to the same truth, that is divorced from accountability. It is the ordinary civilians that pay the huge price, often with their freedom, their future, and sometimes their lives. Thank you so much for watching. We shall be right back next week with another summary of what met headlines in Cameroon. Goodbye.
Okay, merci, Mimi. Annette, am I back in? And what I'd love to do.
Yes, sir.
Oh,
you
wonderful.
are.
What I'd love to do is to bring Ari in. You know, he knows how to handle these things. We touched on the truth of the church and all of that. We also touched on in Mimi's summary the New Year wishes, and then the Maduro story, which we have to talk about. But Ari, if you're in, do you want to take this over and do what you do so well? Otherwise, I'll go on and we'll talk about the number of things that are pending.
Eric,
Maduro story, the cabinet appointments that we've been expecting. Yes.
Yeah, Eric, I'm sorry. I would still need a few minutes to settle down, so you can keep going. But I just want to thank everybody for being here, and absolutely love the summary of the news roundup from Mimi and how relevant that is to the conversation that we're having and the Cameroonian situation. Knowing that even the Cameroon situation is not divorced from the international circumstances or international news, but even more importantly, in the context of the church. For those listening, and I hope that the people in the church are listening, and the faithfuls, the idea of this session is not really that we are against the church, but believe it or not, even with the Anglophone crisis, one of the institutions that has been most stable across Cameroon and across even the Anglophone region is the church. So the church plays an integral role in the story and history of Cameroon, that it cannot be seen as separate from this question. What the church knows as the truth should be what the faithfuls believe in. If the gospel is the truth, then the results of the elections as the truth is gospel and should be preached as gospel. So it's really important for this to be seen as a moment of test for the Catholic Church, but also test for the faithful. Because for every Sunday that people across the country give their time to the church, their attention to the church, is for them to leave there believing that their spirits are lifted by this place that stands for, safeguards, protects, and upholds the truth. And this has been a letdown. Whether the bishop believes it or not, it is the expectation of the people that is now in question, because the people feel betrayed by this one institution that should have been the place that brought us together when everything else failed. Yeah. I just wanted to throw that in, but I'll be back in a few minutes.
Sure. Thank you so much, Ari. And Annette, are we Oh,
Eric?
ok. Ah, mais voilà, Herman, c'est toi qui
Oui.
peux prendre la parole et s'il te plaît, je te le donne. Si tu peux résumer aussi tout ce qui a été dit en anglais. À toi,
Voilà.
Herman.
Merci beaucoup, Eric. Il est vraiment important que on a bien écouté ce que Monseigneur Nkea a dit. Et moi-même qui parle, je suis un produit de l'enseignement d'élite catholique, parce que moi-même, je suis un produit de l'Université catholique d'Afrique centrale. Toutes les études, tout le master degree, tout ce qu'on peut imaginer comme bachelor, master degree, je l'ai passé à l'Université catholique d'Afrique centrale sous la conduite des jésuites. Et nous connaissons l'importance que l'Église catholique accorde à la justice sociale, à la vérité. Et tout à l'heure, on l'a dit, vous connaîtrez la vérité vous affranchira. On comprend que l'Église catholique dit qu'elle ne se positionne pas dans une logique de publier des résultats. On comprend qu'elle ne veuille pas se substituer. Mais il faut qu'on comprenne aussi que l'Église catholique est extrêmement écoutée. Elle est sur un piédestal au Cameroun. Sur les 30 millions de Camerounais, on compte pas moins de 15 à 20 millions de personnes qui se réclament catholiques. 10 à 20 millions, une moyenne de 15 millions. Donc, comment est-ce que l'Église catholique se pense, lorsqu'on a une répression qui fait plus de 60 morts, 2500 personnes emprisonnées? C'est le type de répression qu'on n'avait jamais vu au Cameroun. Donc, il est important de comprendre qu'on se trouve à une croisée des chemins où, souvenons-nous de ce que Desmond Tutu disait, lorsqu'en situation de dictature, tu choisis le silence, c'est probablement que tu as choisi le camp de l'oppresseur. Donc ça, c'est quelque chose à garder à l'esprit. Et on comprend l'embarras que ça puisse susciter. Pour que les choses soient un peu plus claires pour nous, j'ai choisi de publier les résultats que l'Église catholique au travers de Ludovic Lado avait publiés. Tout le monde peut avoir accès dans la page des commentaires. Et il a bien fait de montrer à la fois les résultats de l'Église catholique et les résultats de l'ECAM. Même si on comprend à un certain niveau que l'Église catholique ne veuille pas dire ce qu'elle a vu, il serait aussi important de comprendre qu'une dichotomie au sein même de l'Église catholique ne plaide pas en sa faveur, n'aide pas les Camerounais à lui faire totalement confiance comme par le passé. Donc, il serait important de comprendre que c'est un mauvais message. C'est un message de doute lorsque certains prêtres peuvent s'exprimer d'une certaine façon, tandis que d'autres choisissent soit de garder un silence complice, soit de garder un silence au nom de la traditionnelle attitude neutre de l'Église catholique. Est-ce que vous imaginez, sur une scène de crime, qu'un témoin clé, un témoin qui a vu, un témoin qui a été présent, à la fin puisse dire aux enquêteurs, oui, il y a eu un crime, oui, telle personne a été barbarément assassinée, mais mon rôle n'est pas de vous dire ce qui s'est passé, mon rôle était juste d'enregistrer pour moi-même ce que j'ai vu et de rester tranquille. Quelle justice, quelle cour, qu'elle soit militaire ou civile, va laisser ce témoin rentrer librement chez lui et dire, OK, c'était pour tes propres archives. Donc, quelque part, on les comprend, mais ça ne tient pas devant la vie humaine. La vie humaine a beaucoup plus de valeur que des simples principes de neutralité. Jusqu'aujourd'hui, on a plus de 50 familles qui sont endeuillées au Cameroun. Comment est-ce que l'Église catholique se positionnerait par rapport à la souffrance du prochain, par rapport à la justice sociale, qui est un des piliers du catholicisme? Comment est-ce que les évêques, comment est-ce que la Conférence nationale épiscopale des évêques s'adresse aux familles? Quelle consolation est-ce que l'Église catholique peut apporter aux familles endeuillées, si ce n'est aider à établir la vérité des causes qui ont conduit à la perte des personnes qui leur sont chères? Donc, c'est ce type de questions qui serait important aussi que l'Église catholique se pose. Donc, pour résumer, c'est vrai qu'Aré a dit, nous ne sommes pas là pour faire un procès. Nous ne sommes pas là pour jeter l'anathème sur l'Église. Mais nous voulons, au regard de la crise post-électorale camerounaise, que l'Église catholique puisse comprendre quel est le sentiment des Camerounais. Ça, c'est capital. Donc, le Cameroun est en train de passer par une période où ça se ressent dans l'air. C'est lourd, c'est à couper au couteau, qu'il y a un malaise généralisé. Et l'Église catholique a souvent été un centre de confiance. Tout le monde, les Camerounais ont traditionnellement fait confiance à l'Église catholique. Et il est important qu'il n'y ait pas une rupture. Parce que les Camerounais actuellement ont un sentiment de trahison. Il faut le dire. Ne jouons pas sur les mots. Les Camerounais ont un sentiment de trahison. Ils ont l'impression d'être laissés tomber, que l'Église est en train de les laisser tomber. Donc, c'est pourquoi j'ai pris le temps de publier ces résultats auxquels nous pouvons tous avoir accès. Et il serait important que l'Église comprenne que il y en a qui ont, comme le père Ludovic Lado, qui était attendu ici, qui ont pris sur eux de dire voilà la vérité. C'est la vérité qui nous a franchis. Ce ne sont pas les discours. Ce n'est même pas notre idéologie, c'est la vérité. Et la vérité se défend d'elle-même. Lorsqu'on dit la vérité, on n'a plus besoin d'argumenter beaucoup. Donc, c'est ça que j'ai voulu apporter, parce que Eric tout à l'heure avait dit, celui qui avait les résultats, si quelqu'un pouvait les apporter, ce serait bien. Et que c'est quelque chose de public, je me suis dit, nous sommes ici pour la vérité. Autant connaître la vérité. Merci beaucoup, Eric.
Beaucoup. Merci, mon cher Herman. J'aime ta façon de parler de ces choses-là avec un ton tellement neutre et correct. Hein? C'est bien. C'est pas l'émotion ici, c'est une vérité qui est claire à tout le monde. Donc, I'm not sure how, what I should be doing, but now that I know you're here, I'm feeling almost intimidated. But we needed to talk about after Mimi's presentation, we needed to just touch on a number of issues that happened during the week. One of them was the New Year wishes that were given to the President Dia on Thursday, and yesterday, Friday, women from around the country went to Etudi to give Chantal Dia New Year wishes, to express their best wishes for the new year. We need to touch a little bit on AFCON, the African football competitions going on in Morocco, as we all know.
Eric,
yes.
I think I would interrupt you a little bit. Maybe before you change topics, maybe we should open it up to anybody in the audience who has any comments to make about the role of the church in the struggle. I think that we should also think about not only the Catholic Church, but the Presbyterian Church, the Pentecostal churches. Where do they stand? Because these are all stakeholders. Their parishioners are going through this hardship.
Wonderful, Annette. Yes, absolutely. So let's open it up, and it'd be interesting if anybody also knows why the other political parties, why some of whom we saw on Thursday in Palais in Etudi, why did Mr. Buba Bello not say anything about these results? Why did Cabral Libby, Joshua Osi, all three of them were at the presentation of these New Year wishes? Why they did not comment on, because they too had people watching, they had people observing these polls. So are they a part of the problem, or what is it? Anyway, are there any people, anybody who wants to comment on the role of the church and what we're talking about right here? Please just indicate who you are, and Annette will put you on. I'm surprised that Chrétien n'a rien dit sur ce thème. Hein? Chrétien, maybe you should say something. On va t'obliger à dire quelque chose. Chrétien Tabessi? Annette, you want to bring him in?
I believe that he can just unmute himself.
Oh, okay, ben voilà, donc, Chrétien. Ah, mais voilà. Oui.
Hein?
Vas-y.
Vous m'entendez là? Ah oui, oui, oui. Oui, bonsoir. C'est toujours avec grand plaisir que je me retrouve dans ce forum et à chaque samedi après-midi. Non, j'ai suivi avec beaucoup d'attention les débats. Hein. Je pense que Eric, tu me connais, j'ai pas grand-chose à dire. Qu'est-ce que tu veux que je rajoute? Moi, je pense, moi en tant que catholique pratiquant, d'ailleurs, je pense que j'adhère totalement à ce qui a été dit et depuis un certain temps, je suis de très près les interventions du père Ludovic qui, au-delà de son statut d'homme de l'Église catholique, essaye un peu de repositionner la problématique du Cameroun en la situant dans le cadre de la vérité. La vérité, tout simplement, rien que la vérité. Rien que la vérité. Je pense qu'il a été dit tout à l'heure, c'est que nous devons tous, et plus particulièrement nos pasteurs, nous devons tous effectivement nous en tenir, et ça faisait partie d'ailleurs de ton préliminaire. La question n'est même plus de savoir si on aime ou n'aime pas Issa Chiroma, mais qu'est-ce que les Camerounais ont dit le 12 octobre, tout simplement. C'est ça qu'il faut rétablir. C'est ça qu'il faut rétablir. Ça fait plusieurs années que les Camerounais s'expriment, lancent des cris d'alarme. Cela a commencé en 92 avec Frundi, où les Camerounais sont exprimés, tu l'as bien dit, Eric. Ça a suivi avec Kamto en 2018, tu l'as bien dit. Et là, maintenant, avec Tioma, moi, je pense que le verre est plein. Le verre est plein. Et je pense qu'il va falloir tout simplement, ce qu'on reproche aujourd'hui à la conférence épiscopale, c'est que les individus s'expriment, que les fortes têtes s'expriment, c'est une chose, mais ce que nous attendions et ce que nous attendons effectivement de la conférence épiscopale, c'est qu'en tant qu'entité, qu'elle puisse effectivement, c'est-à-dire qu'en plus de ce qu'a dit le monseigneur Kea, qu'ils disent la vérité, qu'ils disent lors d'une grande réunion comme celle-là, que sur la base, nous ne sommes pas le Conseil constitutionnel, nous ne sommes pas ELECAM, cependant, nous avons été acceptés, on a accepté que nous participions effectivement à la quête, à la collecte des résultats. Sur les 12 000 procès-verbaux que nous avons, il s'avère que voilà les résultats qui sortent de ces 12 000. C'est tout ce qu'on leur demande de dire. On ne leur demande pas de dire qu'un tel et un tel a gagné. Et après, maintenant, le peuple camerounais en fera ce qu'il entend et les organisations concernées. Donc, Eric, qu'est-ce que tu veux que je dise de plus par rapport?
Merci.
Merci.
Non, merci. Voilà. Chrétien, ton point de vue a toujours pesé, a toujours compté, et c'est toujours un plaisir de t'entendre et de t'avoir avec nous. Je ne sais pas si Cyril...
We have Amel. We have Amel Mbappé who is asking to speak.
Please.
So, Amel, you can unmute yourself.
Fantastic. Okay. Over to you, Amel, please.
Okay. Amel, I'm trying to... Hello. Good evening. Sorry.
Wow.
C'est en train de faire plein de choses à la fois. Déjà, je salue tous les Camerounais qui sont ici. Et c'est toujours un plaisir, effectivement, de venir sur la plateforme, d'échanger. Et je voulais effectivement intervenir par rapport à l'Église. Quand je dis l'Église, c'est l'Église dans son ensemble, le corps de Christ, comme on l'appelle, c'est-à-dire l'Église catholique, l'Église protestante et toutes ces églises qui foisonnent, dites réveillées. Je Ce que je voulais dire, c'est que l'Église au Cameroun, il faut qu'on dise la vérité aux Camerounais. L'Église au Cameroun a échoué dans sa mission. Elle a échoué dans le sens où, en observant depuis des décennies, on se rend compte que, en fait, l'Église qui est supposée être dans les valeurs chrétiennes, les valeurs de Jésus-Christ, c'est-à-dire la solidarité, le partage, la compassion, l'Église qui est supposée être toujours du côté des plus vulnérables, c'est-à-dire de la veuve, de l'orphelin, des pauvres et des démunis, des laissés pour compte dans la société. Aujourd'hui, l'Église est du côté du bourreau. Je dis bien toute l'Église, parce que ces gens accompagnent la dictature au Cameroun. Et quand Monseigneur Nkea dit que l'Église catholique n'est pas une association, un parti politique, ou alors c'est une association apolitique, moi j'en conviens bien, mais on ne leur demande pas en fait de s'engager en politique. On leur demande juste d'appliquer la parole de Dieu. Comme vient de dire la personne qui était avant moi, vous connaîtrez la vérité et la vérité vous affranchira. On leur demande de nous dire la vérité qui a été proclamée par les urnes dans leurs locaux. On ne leur demande pas d'inventer la vérité. Moi, je suis désolée, Jésus-Christ, il a dit, je suis le chemin, la vérité et la vie. Mais ce qu'on voit aujourd'hui, c'est que l'Église qui se réclame de Jésus-Christ est en décalage avec les valeurs de Jésus-Christ. L'Église est du côté du bourreau. L'Église va au palais invitée par Ngongo pour soutenir la dictature. L'Église a livré des manifestants qui s'étaient cachés dans ses locaux à la cathédrale à Yaoundé. On les a livrés au bourreau. Donc, je suis désolée de le dire. D'autres prennent des gants ici parce que, bon, ils sont respectueux. Moi-même, je veux bien respecter une institution qui est pour les valeurs spirituelles, qui est pour le partage, qui est pour le bien-être. Mais je suis au regret de constater que cette Église a échoué. Elle a échoué lamentablement. Elle est du côté du bourreau et c'est une honte de le dire parce que cette Église a payé un lourd tribut face à la dictature au Cameroun. Combien de prêtres, combien d'hommes d'église, combien d'hommes en toge ont été assassinés au Cameroun sous la dictature de M. Biya? Rien que pour le sang de tous ces prêtres-là, l'Église devrait reprendre sa place, être du côté du peuple, dire la vérité, surtout la vérité des urnes, et même Jésus-Christ lui-même, à son époque, dénonçait les injustices. Jésus-Christ dénonçait les maux de la société. Quand il dit que l'Église est apolitique, l'Église est apolitique, oui, mais l'Église doit dire la vérité à la gouvernance. Parce que les mêmes personnes qui fréquentent ces églises sont les victimes de la dictature, sont les victimes de la mauvaise gouvernance, de la corruption. Donc, quand l'Église ne dénonce pas et surtout qu'elle ne dit pas la vérité, nous sommes obligés de dire qu'elle est de connivence avec le pouvoir en place. Parce que nous apprenons que cette Église reçoit des enveloppes, des grosses voitures, des cadeaux matériels en tout genre, que l'Église retourne à sa mission spirituelle, à sa mission première, qui est de protéger les plus vulnérables. Voilà. Donc, même le texte que Monseigneur Nkea a cité, ce texte l'incrimine lui-même parce qu'il ne lit pas l'entièreté des Écritures. L'Église doit être exemplaire. Quand Paul parlait à Timothée, demandait à Timothée que l'Église soit exemplaire, que les serviteurs de Dieu soient exemplaires. Maintenant, l'Église n'est pas dans la société, elle ne peut pas ignorer ce qui se passe dans la société. Je vais prendre juste deux exemples dans la Bible pour lui répondre. On a dans l'Ancien Testament, on a deux exemples patents. On a Joseph et on a Daniel. Voilà deux serviteurs de Dieu, deux hommes de Dieu qui ont été au cœur de la gouvernance, mais qui ont parlé en faveur des pauvres, qui ont dit la vérité à des dictatures, je peux appeler ça des dictatures, ou alors des gens qui étaient au pouvoir mais qui prenaient des mesures qui n'allaient pas dans le bon sens. Ils ont parlé de manière audacieuse, de manière courageuse pour faire entendre la voix de Dieu. Donc, pour terminer, je redis que l'Église fasse entendre la voix de Dieu au milieu de toute la cacophonie qu'on a. Que l'Église nous dise ce que Dieu pense des injustices, des abominations, des crimes rituels, de la corruption et de toutes les inégalités que les Camerounais subissent depuis 43 ans. Voilà, ça ne fait à rien d'être dans cette attitude hypocrite-là et de se réfugier derrière les petites réflexions et dire que non, l'Église est apolitique, nous on n'est pas ailés comme non. L'Église est impliquée dans tout ce qui se passe dans une société. Et quand il n'y a pas la justice sociale, l'Église doit dénoncer et dire aux gouvernants ce que la parole de Dieu dit. Voilà, c'était ma contribution.
I call this young lady one of my favorite daughters, so maybe you can see why. She's got a lot of energy and truth.
Maybe I will summarize in English.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, for our fellow brothers and sisters, the English speakers here, what I'm saying is that the church in Cameroon as a whole, that is the Catholic Church, the Protestant Church, and even the evangelistic church or the newborn, all that movement, these people are condoning evil, which is against the word of God, because what the word of God says is not what these people are doing. What Bishop Nkea said is completely contrary to what the word of God will ask servants of God, men of God to do in society. You cannot separate the church as an institution from the social life in a country. They are part of it because the members of the church are the same that are the victims of the poor governance, injustice, corruption, and all the evil we are seeing in the Cameroonian society. So Bishop Nkea and all the priests, all the pastors, and all the men and women of God, they will do better to denounce what the dictatorship is doing in Cameroon. And it is so outrageous because the Catholic Church especially has paid a heavy toll. This dictatorship has taken a heavy toll on the Catholic Church. How many priests have been assassinated or killed within 43 years? Many, tens of them, many of them. And the church, unfortunately, is condoning that. The church is not condemning, and the church is moving along with this dictatorship, this bloody dictatorship that we have in Cameroon. It is about time men of God, the Church of Christ, came back to the values of Jesus Christ, because even in the history of the church, from the Bible, we see men of God that were involved in governance. They went there boldly and they told evil rulers that they were doing evil things. They were not cowards. The church leaders in Cameroon today are cowards. I am very sorry to say that, but it is the truth. So Bishop Nkea and the Catholic Church will do better to publish the results, what the ballot box said on the 12th of October. We are not asking them to get involved into politics or to invent anything, but to tell us the truth, because we Cameroonians and we the people, we need that truth. And the church will do better also to come back to her basic role and her basic duty in society. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much, Amel. And we will continue this discussion. I'm calling on. Okay, Annette, did you want to?
Yes, just
okay.
Go ahead, Eric. If there is anybody else, they can just unmute themselves and join the conversation.
Yes, I think we should do that. I'm hoping that I don't know if Ken Itendo, maybe we need to take that pause for you to talk about one of the things that matters so much, which is the money that needs to, the fundraising that needs to be done, not because money is what this is truly about. No, but we need resources to be able to do the things we're doing. All of the young people in jail, we're contributing to taking care of the many who've gone to jail as a result of the post-electoral violence. We also working to help those who are in hospital after the violence. So I'm not a money person, so I really don't know how to make that plea. But I think I totally understand that it's important that we raise some funds to do the things we are doing. And I know that our leader, Are promised to put out the information. I think the information is somewhere on exactly how every single dollar is being used, because none of the money that's contributed goes to overheads or to administration or to pay for even people who are involved in Project C when they have to travel. I mean, I've had to travel a lot. I'm not coming to Project C to fund my travels. So all of the money is coming in, goes directly to Cameroon, every dollar. And I think we need to emphasize that. And I know that Are has said he'll put out the information on exactly what has been funded, whether it's meals for truck drivers or meals for young people in jail, or support to the women in Mutengene and so on. There's a lot the money is helping us achieve, and it's important that we emphasize the fundraising part of this. So I'll just ask maybe Mike Ken Tendo, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I'm good. Can you hear me?
Please, yes. We
Perfect.
can see you.
Sorry, I'm in transit driving today, so I'm gonna chime in here. Thanks everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. This has been a spirited conversation. I apologize about the technical difficulties to start. That's part of life, and we're talking about life today. And this life we're talking about is the life of our people and our nation, right? And so when we look at the spirit in the conversation, we are in comfortable places, most of us, but we've got to take a step back and ask ourselves, are all of our people in comfortable places? And who is speaking on behalf of the people who are in very uncomfortable places for nothing else other than the fact that they express themselves and they express their political views? And some have lost lives. We're in comfortable places. There are people who have sacrificed a whole lot. And I just ask you guys, what would it take for you to be able to change places with those people? None of us would. I guarantee you that. But what we could do is to make sure that no one else ends up in a place like that. A lot of sacrifices being made for people to come in here, and you heard of the technical challenges. All that costs money, right? People are making sacrifices. It's a lot that goes on throughout the week in the background, just to plan, to stream on the different platforms, to do whatever we're doing here for the fight of the people. And I ask you guys, what would it take for you to be part of it, to have your voices heard? The easiest way is to make a financial contribution. I know we as Cameroonians have been marred with the past of people contributing money and it not going to the right cause. We're here to tell you that whatever money you give, you heard Eric mention before, 100% transparency and accountability. Every money that you give, you want to know where it's at, it's been published, you know where the money goes. We need help, we need your financial support. We're making it as easy as possible, right? You can go on the website. You can contribute through your credit card. You can scan the QR code. You can make a commitment. We've asked week over week, what would it cost for you to be able to make a sacrifice to go back to Cameroon next year? And we ask you to sacrifice $100 a month, automatic deduction. If you cannot do that, $1 is fine, 50 cents is fine. Imagine all the diasporans. If we all just today gave $1, what that would mean. There's about 3,000 people listening to this conversation today. Do not get off the phone. Our goal this week was to raise $10,000. There's been a lot of contributions so far, but do not get off this call today without reaching into your pocket and giving what you can. People have given lives. There are people, you heard, 14-year-olds in jail with adults. They cannot even afford medical care. They don't even have food to eat if they don't have families to be able to take care of them. We want to be able to help. I'm asking you guys to reach into your pockets. It's a spirited conversation about the role of the church. But what is your role? We ask, what is your role? If you cannot be there in person, which most of us cannot, the least you can do is put some money towards it. Every bit counts, every bit helps. Let's have our voices heard. Do not get off this call without putting at least some money towards this cause and this fight. We will win this fight. We shall win this fight. The light is at the end of the tunnel. It's very, very clear. It's coming, right? And it's worth fighting for. Please entertain, get involved, but at the same time, be passionate about what we're talking about here. This is our fight. Nobody can fight it for us. There are many ways to fight the fight. Some people can talk, right? Some people can rally people around, but I'm asking you guys for the basic common way to help is to just reach down in your pocket, give $1, $2, $5, $10. If you cannot do that, reach out to somebody else who cannot. Share the information that we have on different platforms. This information needs to penetrate every corner, every nook and cranny, because this is a people's fight. It's our fight. It's a fight that must be won for our generation and for the generations to come. Our country, let's reclaim it. Cry the beloved country, Cameroon. Let's get together here and rally. Thank you all.
Well, thank you very much, Kenny. Annette, I just take the floor when there's a gap. So please, at any time, take it back from me. I know that folks will, oh, voila, he's back. Huh?
If it's okay, can I just jump in here?
Please.
I did just following up on what Kenny just said in terms of, I'm sorry, I'm only joining now. I had some issues to take care of. You know, since July of 2025, we have raised about $75,453 dollars. So just let me say 75,000, and we have spent about 70,000 of that. And our expenditure has been a wide range of things, from building the website to all of the communication strategy that we put in place prior to the elections, right? We did some really amazing things with very little resources, from whether it's essentially partnering with 8 newspapers in Cameroon in a way that even the regime couldn't understand we were partnering with them. And what many people didn't realize was every 3 days we had something in the headlines of newspapers in Cameroon. That was thanks to donation coming from you. We went from just that conversation with the elite to the masses, especially young people. Partnered with 9 bloggers in Cameroon and consumed the social media space for nearly 2 months in Cameroon, mobilizing people to not only register to vote, to not only pick up their polling, their voters' cards, but know their polling stations in time. We challenged people to put their ID, their voter card online on social media. And once people did that, we knew at that moment that something dramatic was going to be happening in Cameroon, when young people decided that they were not only, and they went to their various polling stations and took pictures at their polling stations. This was before the elections. Then we went to the next level, again, because of people on this call that said we need to get this to the masses. We went to community radios, translated all of the information, and we had it out in Fulbe, in Bakweri, in various other languages. And again, it was thanks to all of the money that we raised. So the money was really invested for strategic purposes. Since then, we worked with the people that were, the group that was protecting Chiroma's house, the nearly 500 young men that were there. We supported them to ensure that Chiroma wasn't captured by the regime. We worked with the team of people that were around Chiroma as he went into Nigeria, and we were going to work with him on a swearing-in initiative until diplomacy got in our way. So there's so much that we have done with the limited resources, $75,000 for the diaspora over a 5-month period of time. It's a step in the right direction, but there is so much more that we can do and accomplish, again, with just limited resources. Take, for example, many people have been talking about ground game. Yes, there is an opportunity. We have invested, when you saw the Ville Malls and all of those things taking place in Cameroon, it's things that we do to be able to support people on the ground who are taking a lot of risk. So we ask for the diaspora to own this moment, to rise up to the occasion, and to do very little to make so much of a difference in Cameroon. Thanks, Ken and the fundraising team for all the work that's being done. There's a lot that's coming in the next phase of the resistance, which I know one of these sessions coming up, we're going to tell you all this very exciting news, that development that is taking place behind the scenes. But we see 2026 as endgame for this regime. There's not much mileage that they have left. The gas is running out in the tank. But we have a very short window of opportunity to be able to make the difference. So I say to people that do not be disheartened, do not believe that because Biya has been sworn in and because all of the elite in Cameroon showed up to wish him not be disheartened by that, because we saw that there is a complete divorce and disconnect between the elite of the country and the people. How is it that people, grown up men and women, know the truth and yet choose to act contrary to the truth? How is it that we have developed a country where the truth doesn't matter, where people have the consciousness of the human being has been divorced from their own body, where the leaders have no interest in representing the people and are there for no other reason than their personal interest, where people who wear the banner of members of parliament are actually putting on the flag of a country that they do not believe in and are not representative of the people. And yet the talent, the resources, the experience that 4 million Cameroonians have in the diaspora cannot stand aside as if we do not know what we can do. We certainly have ways and means that we can overcome. But we need the resources to fight a machine, yes, that would throw anything to survive, throw anything to be able to survive. It takes very limited resources, my brothers and sisters, to be able to defeat the regime. I keep saying with less than $50,000, we were able to completely outmatch Bia's machinery, the CPDM regime's plans for the elections. So imagine if we had 150,000, and imagine if we had 200,000, what difference that would make. Imagine if we could lead a diplomatic campaign to all the major capital cities in the world across Africa, where we are actually going to meet with heads of states to present to them the status quo of Cameroon and build a strong diplomatic offensive as opposed to just writing letters. Imagine if we took this conversation to the Vatican, where we have a team of 8 of us go to the Vatican and meet in the Vatican about the situation in Cameroon. Imagine if we had conversations around the capitals of the Central African states, reassuring them what the next regime is going to bring to development in the Central African region. Those are little things that we can do that will make a tremendous difference in this campaign that we have, because the regime now is beginning its own diplomatic offensive. They're doing so from a very weakened position and from a position where they lack legitimacy and lack credibility. We can of opportunity. And our goal in 2026 is to ensure that the elected leader, the representative of the people, I don't care what the church says or doesn't say, we know what the truth is ensuring that he returns to Cameroon and occupies the position that is rightfully his. And that's what every conversation, every support, every dime from the diaspora as well as in Cameroon should be focused on, re-establishing the truth and what is rightfully the will of the people. So I thought I should jump in and follow up on what Ken was saying, because it's really important for us to see how we can make a difference in this conversation. But I also would like, Eric, when I came in, we were opening the floor to people who had comments, commentaries with reference to the situation in which the church in Cameroon now finds itself. Now, the last time I visited Cameroon, there were more billboards in Cameroon promoting overnight vigils and ecclesiastical conferences and gospel missions across the country than even cell phones. That it almost seems like the economy of the country is dominated by the church. And I'm asking anyone in Cameroon to just observe, and I say billboards because it's some business that I've done before. So every time I step into Cameroon, I observe the billboards. And in any country that you go to, look at the billboards. It would tell you how the economy of the country is doing. And in Cameroon, the majority of billboards in Yaoundé, in Douala, Limbe, and across the country are the evangelist churches doing overnight conferences and all of that. And if there's anybody who is on this in Cameroon, you can confirm this, that this is what is happening. So it's not only the Catholic Church, but people are spending so much time in these churches, so much time, putting so much resources in the churches. And yet we're talking about the future of these same people that are faithfuls and followers of these churches, and the churches are not playing their part in this process. And this is how we liberate Cameroon. It cannot be that it's only political parties, because political parties have not been able to do this. It has to be everybody. And we cannot do this without the churches. We cannot do this without jangi houses. We cannot do this without trade unions, lawyers, the Bar Council, the accountants, National Accountants Associations, the National Pharmacists Association. All of these groups have to play their part in liberating Cameroon and liberating themselves as well. Because yes, the president of the Bar Council
was able to challenge Taganji, but he is not free to perform what is supposed to be the duties of the press. So it's incredibly important that we look at this conversation as beyond the Catholic Church. It is all the churches as well have to play their part. The second largest health care provider in Cameroon is the Cameroon Baptist Convention. Second largest after the government of Cameroon, with over 80 clinics in 7 regions of Cameroon. And that's because that's because of the Baptist Church country. And so they are an integral part of what is happening in Cameroon, for Cameroon's failures as well as Cameroon's successes. And these conversations must be taken beyond this. People have to challenge them at the pulpit on Sundays and say, why are you not speaking out? You know the truth. Speak out in defense of the people. So I don't want to monopolize, but I'm happy to, if anybody we want to hear from other people. We want your voices to come out and be part of this conversation. So please.
Yes, I don't see. I don't know whether Terence. I think he's here. And he often has some great thoughts that I thought he ought to share. We also mentioned the fact that there are folks who should. Junior Abena, for example. I don't know why he's not said anything. And Kenneth and someone I'd love to hear from, Geraldine Zilsa, who's in Brussels, just to have a sense of how Belgium, the Cameroonians, and there are many of them in Belgium, how they are reacting to what's going on in the country at this time. Geraldine, we need.
I think Terence is ready to take the floor.
Terence, please. Yeah.
Well,
Terence,
I think
Junior.
Yes, I've been listening quite a bit, and sometimes I prefer to hear a lot of other voices. But as I did mention earlier, it is very, very exciting. The energy at the beginning of the year is how should I say it? It's exponentially better. Whether we are looking at where the church, what they did wrong, or looking at individuals, or looking at what we can do, the most critical thing is that we own up to where we are now in history. As individuals, we own up. We cannot sit back and let this opportunity go anywhere. This is like more than an eclipse. It is going to happen only once in our lifetime, once. And if we don't do something, generations are going to sit back, read at history, and say, what did our ancestors, what were they thinking? Very well educated people, very well learned all over the world. They have seen what democracy is. They have been in different societies. What were they thinking? Why could they not act? And because of that, it befits us to really sit back and not only act, but share the information that we have. Part of what we are suffering from is ignorance, and ignorance of where people can be, where Cameroon should be. In the 70s, we donated palm seeds to Malaysia, Singapore. Look at where they are now. Look at South Korea. I mean, we have all traveled, and we all look at TikTok and videos and all of that. Look at Rwanda. We don't even have to go far. Look at Rwanda. What do they have that we don't have as a people? What do they have that we don't have as a people? Let me remind everybody that it is only the Bafut tribe that actually fought and won a war against the Europeans in the whole African continent. Yes. So when you think about it, we are not losers. And we don't sit and get doctrined on religion and get whitewashed. And we don't know whether it is an AI ruling the country now. But at the end of the day, it is our country. Every piece of it is our country. You know, every piece of it is our country. So sometimes we sit and we talk and we go ahead and do our stuff. Guess what? Most of us, whether we like it or not, we are who we are because of where we came from. And if we cannot pay forward what we have received, then we have a problem. Not everybody is going to get to the promised land, but the promised land, we are right there right now. We are right there right now. And I know confidently that within the next few weeks, we will be back there. I'm very confident about that. Miracles happen and they are going to happen. Whether you are in support of the miracle happening or not, the miracles are going to happen. So the best thing to do is to place yourself on the right side of history. And not only placing yourself on the right side of history, it doesn't make sense for you to be on the right side of history and your brother, your sister, your best friend is not on the right side of history. Just because you could not spend 5 minutes to tell them what is happening, what Project C is doing, forward, behind the scenes, what all the other groups are doing forward and behind the scenes. But letting them know that picking up our responsibilities, especially on ground zero, is very crucial. Making a donation, whether it's $25, $100 today, tomorrow, everybody's circumstance is different. But it is the little drops of water that make up the mighty ocean. Cameroon is Africa in miniature. Let us prove it. Let us prove it. If you have anybody that has any doubt about tomorrow, let them call any one of us. We'll show them the way. I will show them what Cameroon can be. Within 5 years, within a year of the administration changing, that will be a totally different country. We have the expertise in every field, from engineering to pharmaceuticals to medicine to civil engineering. The roads are going to be built. So please, please, let it sink in. My French is not good, but we are going to get in the next few weeks. The country is going to change. So please be on the right side of history. And if not, you'll see us on the other side of history. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Terence, for that appeal. History will always remember, and history is has a way of judging us and judging us for generations. I would like at this point, as we're counting down here, to bring Junior Abena. Junior Abena is part of Project C, and it's also part of the Union pour le Changement. A journalist and does incredible groundwork. Is actually doing groundwork and on for Project C and talking about perspective on the ground. We are really building here a movement that is horizontal and vertical at the same time. It's when we talk about national integration or the Vivre Ensemble, this is what Vivre Ensemble is supposed to be. It's across the board. For us, Cameroon is Cameroon. So go to Junior, and then after Junior, it will be Kenneth.
Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure for me to be here, to give me the floor. Thank Mr. Richie. Thank a lot of thanks to Mr. Are. Let me try it in French because my English not very well. Okay. So, je remercie tous les membres de Projet C ce samedi au cœur de ce forum. Et c'est un plaisir, une fois de plus, de venir à vous et de maintenir dans cette flamme de la résistance pour que nous puissions toujours garder la veille. Parce que, comme vous le savez, il y a beaucoup de découragement au niveau du pays. Il y a une forme de résignation, une forme de désillusion. Il y a une bonne partie de la population qui est même déjà un peu désabusée. Et quand vous voyez la manière avec laquelle les autorités de Yaoundé et leurs médias essayent de vouloir passer, de vouloir tourner la page, il y a Cameroun Tribune la semaine dernière, cette semaine, qui a publié que les partis politiques sont déjà dans le starting block pour les législatives et les municipales. Vous voyez, pour eux, c'est terminé, quoi. La présidentielle n'est même plus là. On pense déjà à quelque chose qui viendra peut-être en novembre, mais on en parle déjà comme c'est ça l'essentiel. Donc, en réalité, c'est une forme de diversion parce qu'ils sont toujours dans la diversion. Ils veulent diluer le sentiment, le rejet que les populations ont vécu dans cette mascarade électorale. Tout ce qui s'est passé, les résultats des urnes n'ont pas été livrés dans les réalités, la conformité. Et aujourd'hui, on a vu que ça s'accroît les gars. Et aujourd'hui, c'est les conséquences parce qu'il y a beaucoup parmi nous qui sont en prison. Moi, au niveau de UPC 2025, comme vous le savez, j'ai perdu notre leader, M. Kananisse. Nous avons également M. Djekam Tchameni qui est toujours en détention. Il est à la prison de Yaoundé, à Kondengui. Et nous avons beaucoup de membres du Manidem et de l'UPC. Il y a la trésorière, Mme Tchichou, qui est toujours en détention. Et il y a beaucoup il y a et Sama Blaise qu'on a arrêté même plus tard. C'est-à-dire, lui, on l'a arrêté après, un mois après. Donc, vous voyez que les arrestations ont continué. Donc, c'est pour vous dire je pense que dans notre chef au niveau de voilà, nous ici, qui avons connu l'hostilité des forces de l'ordre, c'est-à-dire la gendarmerie et la police. Parce qu'il faut le dire, l'armée a été un peu plus on a les généraux qui sont passés de discuter sans les moyens lourds. Donc, un général qui sort d'un champ militaire, il sait que s'il ouvre le feu, il va faire des dégâts très graves. Donc, ils ont opté pour la discussion. Mais les gendarmes et les policiers, ils tiraient à bout portant. Ils tiraient avec des balles réelles, ça a causé beaucoup de choses. Et aujourd'hui, les populations sont un peu dans ils sont un peu dans l'ambiguïté. On ne sait plus qu'est-ce qu'on va faire, what next. Maintenant que M. Chiroma est parti, il a pu s'en sortir de l'enfer du Cameroun. On l'avait proposé on avait promis beaucoup de choses, la mort pratiquement, et ça nous a rassuré qu'il est protégé parce que tout ce qu'il a sorti comme discours depuis l'extérieur, ça nous a rassuré qu'il est bien important, qu'il a envie, et ça a maintenu une certaine solidarité, une certaine accalmie. Bon, maintenant, il y a eu beaucoup d'événements. C'est-à-dire que la conférence de Paris avec des avocats, ça a beaucoup boosté, ça a boosté les populations ici. Et nous, au niveau des médias, on a beaucoup relayé ça parce qu'il y a les éléments factuels qui ont été présentés et ça a démontré une fois de plus le côté macabre, c'est-à-dire que la violation des droits de l'homme, la violation de tout ce que ce régime de Biya a causé pendant cette période-là. Et ça a permis de voir plus clair qu'il y a une oreille attentive à l'international qui pourra prendre le relais aussi pour mettre un écho favorable pour qu'on mette une pression à ce régime qui crée vraiment, qui nous met dans une situation d'embarras. Et voilà pourquoi même le discours que le président a fait il y a quelques jours, c'était neutre, il n'y avait rien il n'a rien dit d'essentiel, sauf qu'à un moment donné, là, toujours, nous qui pensions que le discours d'ouverture, enfin, le discours qu'il avait prononcé à l'investiture, d'où il parlait de main tendue, d'où il parlait d'accalmie, d'où il parlait de travailler ensemble, d'ouverture. Mais on a vu un président qui a continué à parler il a continué à diaboliser l'opposition, à parler des politiciens irresponsables. Vous voyez, il est toujours dans le même narratif. Vous voyez, les vendeurs d'illusions, voilà, des choses comme ça. Donc, il diabolise toujours, alors que nous pensions que c'était le moment d'apaisement, où il fallait calmer et permettre que les populations commencent une nouvelle année avec des éléments qui apaisent. Mais cet apaisement-là, on ne voit pas. On ne voit pas, même parmi les prisonniers qu'on a arrêtés, ceux qu'on a libérés, la plupart, c'est les mineurs, parce que les parents sont venus signer des engagements. Et on n'a pas vu vraiment une volonté de libérer, d'apaiser, parce que même dans son discours, tout ce qu'il a pu faire, on est toujours dans un narratif de séduction, un narratif d'improvisation. On vous parle de l'annonce d'une formation d'un gouvernement. C'est-à-dire, voilà ce qui va agiter les médias, la presse. Vous voyez, ils ont toute une presse qui parle. Parce que eux, les silences présidentiels. Vous voyez, il y a un journaliste, un ancien collègue de M. Ritinje, qui a fait toute une thèse sur les silences du président. Et aujourd'hui, je peux vous dire que c'est lui qui est le patron de l'institut qui forme tous les journalistes au Cameroun, comme récompense, parce qu'il a fait cette thèse où il dit que le silence du président, c'est toute une théorie. Or, on comprend bien que ce silence-là, c'est un pourrissement, c'est l'immobilisme. C'est ça l'immobilisme, c'est-à-dire que cette stagnation-là, voilà. Et il dit qu'il va former un gouvernement. Après 43 ans, vraiment, on ne comprend pas comment un président vient nous annoncer qu'il forme un gouvernement. On ne comprend pas. Il sait qu'il a maintenu des gens pendant 7 ans, pendant tout un mandat. Ils sont là depuis 20 ans, 25 ans. Et il vient annoncer ça, peut-être parce qu'il a des pressions. On se dit que peut-être qu'il faut lire ça sur un prisme international. Peut-être il veut conforter les bailleurs de fonds, il veut conforter les partenaires bilatéraux, multilatéraux pour leur dire que non, il a pris note et puis peut-être il va prendre acte et tout. Donc on se dit que c'est ça parce que lui, le président Biano le lit toujours à l'international. Chaque fois qu'il pose un acte, une sortie de piste, il faut toujours le voir dans le sens d'une pression, soit qui vient de l'international ou bien qui vient des partenaires. Et voilà pourquoi on a vu certaines personnes de la société civile qui ont écrit, qui ont fait des sorties, disant que le Cameroun va très mal et que par rapport même au FMI, il y a des soucis, il y a une récession. Et ils n'ont pas pris le temps d'expliquer au peuple que 2026, il y aura une augmentation et l'élargissement de l'assiette fiscale et que la fiscalité, cette pression fiscale-là, ils n'ont pas dit, ils n'ont rien dit, ils sont restés l'augmentation sur les transports, c'est-à-dire que les VTC, les véhicules de transport de location, c'est-à-dire les Yango et puis Boulzem, donc 20%. Il y a augmentation également sur la visite technique des véhicules. Il y a l'augmentation également sur le matériel de construction, dans les fers à béton, les carreaux, tout ça, on a augmenté. On a également instauré la taxe foncière, c'est-à-dire que pour les bailleurs, tous les gens qui ont les maisons en location, là, donc il faut déclarer. Donc, du coup, même la maison maintenant, ça dit que tu payes 100 000 le mois, tu es obligé de payer 110 ou 115 000 parce que le bailleur maintenant doit déclarer. Donc, il y a toute cette pression-là. Ils ont créé des niches comme ça pour mettre toujours la pression, mais on ne parle pas de ça. On ne parle pas. C'est-à-dire qu'on vous a noyé dans l'histoire des fêtes, le football, la canne, voilà, on est en train de... Vous voyez, il y a les enseignants qui ont donné les mots d'ordre de grève qui vont commencer cette semaine-ci, qui arrivent là. Mais on a fait comme si on n'est pas intéressé. C'est un ministre des Sports qui fait une conférence, qui invite tous les journalistes pour dire que comme les Lions vont en quart de finale, on va augmenter les primes. Vous voyez, on vous parle de 12 millions par joueur, donc on mélange par 24 avec l'encadrement. C'est ça, le Cameroun. On est toujours dans la diversion et les réalités du pays ne sont pas une priorité et ça nous pose un problème. Et nous pensons qu'il faudrait que c'est ça. Nous, on alerte toujours les populations pour les dire faites attention. Le réveil sera brutal parce que le cauchemar est déjà là. Ce régime est là. Ils n'ont pas dit la vérité. Ils ne sont pas sincères. Mais ils nous embarquent dans une histoire où ils ont déjà les cartes entre les mains et ils veulent nous embarquer dans une histoire où on nous amène dans la diversion alors que les réalités sont claires. On est pratiquement au bord de la cessation de paiement. Et si ces institutions, nous prennent, puisqu'on est toujours dans les emprunts. Et on vous dit que les emprunts, c'est pour boucher, c'est pour régler d'abord la dette extérieure. Pourtant, à l'intérieur, on a vu la sortie du président de GECAM qui a fait une sortie pour expliquer les dégâts qui sont c'est-à-dire que les conséquences des troubles et qui a c'était impacté même les entreprises et tout. Il n'y a eu aucune solution d'accompagnement palliative ou bien même une stratégie pour accompagner les entreprises qui ont été impactées par tous ces problèmes-là. On n'a rien vu. Bon, vous voyez que tout ça, ça nous présente une situation où on nous parle d'un gouvernement qui arrive, pourtant ce n'est pas une priorité pour le Cameroun, et les gens ne se posent pas de vraies questions, parce qu'on est toujours dans l'embuscade, on est dans une forme de colmatage, il y a des petits problèmes qu'on peut voir, le problème de route, on a dit, bon voilà, là, seul au doigt, là, bon, on va colmater, on a fait un petit budget, bon, on va aller colmater, Crédit aussi, on a beaucoup bavardé, on a tout écrit, on a dit, on va aller voir, on va voir comment on va boucher quelques trous, mais entre-temps, le pays stagne, donc il y a une forme, tout est sclérosé. Le gouvernement ne travaille pas parce que tout Yaoundé sent les remèdes seulement des marabouts, des béninois, parce que tous les hôtels qui tombent, c'est plein des béninois, des marabouts, parce que chacun veut son Gambi qui va maintenir. Donc on est dans une situation où vous arrivez à Yaoundé, tout sent les remèdes, Yaoundé sent les remèdes. C'est terrible. Tous les hôtels de Yaoundé sentent les remèdes, c'est pas possible. C'est pas possible. C'est-à-dire en dehors des odeurs, des ordures qu'on n'arrive pas à ramasser parce que c'est devenu des décors, c'est devenu vraiment des jardins. Mais vous allez dans les grands hôtels de Yaoundé, vous ne le savez pas parce que c'est compliqué. Ouais. Comment on va arriver avec ça? Et pour conclure, donc, c'est Mme Diokam Kameni qui a fait une sortie la semaine dernière pour présenter à la presse les conditions carcérales de son mari, les difficultés qu'ils ont pour, voilà, autant de choses comme ça. Et on connaît également le cas de M. Kane, parce que la famille toujours est dans un litige avec l'État du Cameroun, parce qu'il y a eu profanation du corps. Et aujourd'hui, non seulement l'État ne veut pas remettre le corps, parce qu'il y a autre chose, l'autopsie a été faite et il n'y a pas eu la contre-expertise. Donc, il y a tellement de choses. Les conseils ont fait des sorties. Elle-même, la famille, la femme de Kane et ses neveux, on les a convoqués. Il y a eu des histoires compliquées. Et on a compris qu'en fait, c'était une façon de récupération politique pour essayer de les faire, les restreindre à beaucoup de choses, et même aux obstacles et tout ça. Donc, bref, on est dans une situation où on sent qu'il y a une tension. Et cette tension-là, il faut trouver. On se dit qu'il y a un événement qui va se passer. Moi, j'ai l'impression qu'il y a un événement qui va se passer. Voilà pourquoi on doit être en stand-by. Et pour la quintessence, on a déjà un plan de travail, un plan d'action. On a une bonne ressource humaine nationale et même à la diaspora. Maintenant, je pense que si un événement déclenchant et donner le coup fatal à ce régime parce qu'ils sont fébriles, ils ont peur, mais comme ils ont les moyens coercitifs, les moyens pour nous bimer, pour nous mater, pour nous museler, mais il y a toujours un élément qui peut, des indicateurs qui nous montrent qu'il y a des zones d'ombre, il y a des zones de faiblesse, des fenêtres de vulnérabilité qu'on peut exploiter et qu'on peut toujours mettre en stand-by. Et voilà pourquoi je dis, nous sommes en stand-by. We are still to be together and let the momentum be on air. Thank you very much, Mr. Richinje.
Merci beaucoup, Julien Abena. Toujours passionnant, toujours en action, toujours en train de nous permettre à connaître la vibration sur le terrain au Cameroun. Merci beaucoup pour cette intervention. I laughed when you said that everywhere in Yaoundé now smells like marabout.
Bonsoir, bonsoir.
It's important to note that, yeah, if you cannot find good governance, people find salvation either in the church or in witchcraft. And because surely someday we would have divine intervention that would help clear the streets of the garbage that we have on the streets, or maybe we'll go to Oku and find a witch doctor that is going to help us transform it. But that's not reality, right? The reality is us. It's we, the people of Cameroon, who will make the difference. It's also said that God helps those who help themselves, and I would say the same with the marabouts. They can only help you if you can help yourself. It's in some ways it's metaphysics. Kenneth, I know your hand has been up, and I'm going to put everyone on notice because Kenneth has been long in the struggle. This is a man who has given so much for Cameroon, and even in this Project C campaign, it's been too often we don't see everybody that's behind the scenes making things happen, but Kenneth has been one of those, and thank you for stepping up today. But I know you are also very passionate, and I'm waiting to hear what your take on what has happened in the last week in Cameroon and what we should look forward to in 2026.
Okay, thank you for giving me the opportunity, Ari. I hope everyone can hear me clearly. Yes, I'm unmuted. Okay, great. I just want to focus on, today's topic from my perspective, which is the role of the church in Cameroon, without going to all over the place. But I think that the church in Cameroon, the regime, has successfully, to a very large extent, corrupted and bastardized the church in Cameroon. And from their archbishop, their conferences, archbishops, bishops, what have you, the Roman Catholic Church, even Presbyterian Church, APC, all these Paul Biya comes from a church background. In 1968, Amadou Ahidjo, at the site of the old presidency, buried a white horse together with Paul Biya. There were 9 of them in Central Town. They buried a white horse. I think that horse had come from the Middle East. I don't know where there was Saudi Arabia or one of these other countries. After Amadou Ahidjo left power in 1982, in 1986, Paul Biya invited Raymond Bernard into Cameroon. Raymond Bernard is the very intimate in Rosicrucian circles in France, was brought into Cameroon in 1986 and paid 2 billion. His association was called CESES, paid 2 billion by SNE, by the oil outfit that we have there, to help Paul Biya remove SNH, Société Nationale d'Hydrocarbures, to help exorcise Etude of Amadou Ahidjo's ghost. I think that process was successful. The reason I'm bringing this up is to say that there's a lot of occultic activity going on in Cameroon. And believe it or not, even if you do not believe it, it's a reality. We have inherent in our African traditions, at least from the Pawin, I refer to the Pawin as the Fang Betibulu, who are in Cameroon, extend to Equatorial Guinea and all the way to Gabon anyway. They have, the Pawin have in their occultic, this thing, something called Evu. And in this Evu, you engage in homosexuality. And that is where the Freemasons come in as well. In the Freemasonic order, where there are 33 degrees, the 27th degree, I think in Scottish Rite Freemasonry, the 27th degree is the Rosicrucian degree, where you have links with the Amok or the Rosicrucian order. And in the Kadosh degree, which is one of the degrees of Freemasonry, you have, in Albert Pike's writings, you have homosexuality, which is practiced there. In the 50s, Louis Paul Ojula, a medical doctor, left Algeria and came into Cameroon. And I think when you hear of La République du Cameroun, French Cameroon, talk of Ojulatiste, they're referring to Louis Paul Ojula, who came into Cameroon in the late 50s and introduced homosexuality into the high spheres of the state in Cameroon.
My uncle Sapemi, I want you to massage it.
Archbishop Bala was murdered in cold blood not long ago. Again, Archbishop Bala of the Roman Catholic Church in Cameroon, not a whole lot was done by the same Catholic Church. We know of the sisters in Jum who were killed in cold blood in 1992, and so on and so forth. We know of the deaths in Mimboman, in Yaoundé, children killed and body parts eaten raw, blood, les sanguinaires, even as you call them, drinkers of blood. They invited, what's this guy's name, from Malta, about 5 years ago, and the guy shed tears on national TV. All I want to say is that us in Project C, we take our, I mean, even if you're not a Christian, right? But in my maturity, I have discovered that more activity, strange, but more activity takes place in the spiritual realm than what finally manifests itself in the physical realm. These guys in power, they do a lot in that spiritual realm, and their goal is to hypnotize us. Their goal is to instill fear in us so that we become inactive and immobilized into inaction so we don't fight them. But I think, as the Reverend Michael Bame of the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon, who had indicated long time ago that the churches were being burnt in Cameroon, I believe this year, 2026, as it's starting, it is bringing out all of these guys who engage in the occult, and those churches would be revived. Their actions, a lot of prayer, if we can engage ourselves also in prayer to neutralize, to render annul, and to render void all these epicenters of demonic activity that have been taking place, especially in Yaoundé, I think I will not end this by, of course, I'm going to talk about the blood of Jesus Christ, because he did shed that on the cross for us. And it is this blood of Jesus Christ, the yoke of the blood of Jesus Christ, that would help us to neutralize, to annihilate these demonic centers throughout the national territory and throughout the capitals of the various regions or provinces. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, my dear brothers. So even if you're not Christian, but when you invoke the blood of Jesus Christ in your sleep during those spiritual attacks, you and I know better that all these dogs, all these petty animals, which are used very much in the demonic world, you render them completely harmless as they attack you. So please let us move forward with this 2026 very confidently in prayer as well. Of course, I'm not saying we leave everything to prayer. No, not at all. We do what we have to do in the physical realm to get these guys out of where they are not supposed to be. Thank you very much. I yield the floor.
Thank you, Kenneth, for that historical context, deep religious connotations, and how the impact of the Rosicrucian order has had in Cameroon since the 1950s and continues to. We know that, as you think about the Central African region and many of the Francophone countries, the Rosicrucian order and AMOC has had a significant role to play in the politics of those various countries. But we saw what happened in Gabon. That's to tell you that change even happens against the AMOC, because the Bongo was very, very, very entangled in the Rosicrucian order as well, and he was brought down from within. And I like the point that you made, is that we have to be ready when the time comes. I think That's what success is being able to combine the opportunity with readiness. And what we at Project C did prior to the elections, we came in just at the right time when it was ready, and we brought in the resources, the talent to make a difference. But as we look into 2026, knowing what we know, knowing how fragile this regime is, looking at it in the context of what's evolving in Cameroon, Junior Abena just mentioned how difficult it's going to be economically for the Cameroonian people in the next year. The significant increase in taxes that we're going to see because the government absolutely needs to generate revenue that it doesn't have. This government has to generate 360 to survive every month. And I think they are not breaking that number now and may not be able to do so in the next 3 months. So they're going to find ways in which they should generate, and all of that is going to be on the backs of the people. And we know that the day that this government is not able to pay the military, to pay the gendarmes, to pay the police, they will begin to fall apart at that moment. We know that they would prioritize paying the military first, as opposed to paying teachers or nurses or doctors or other civil servants. But that day is coming. But the question is, how are we going to respond? And are we going to be organized enough? Are we going to be ready enough to respond to that? So Junior mentioned that, and that's why we keep this going. That's why we must keep this momentum going. There is so much opportunity ahead of us. We just need to stick together. I don't see anybody's hand up in terms of further comments from our audience, but I think you all have been going for the last 3 hours. I am so sorry I couldn't be here earlier, but I think we've had really significant conversations today with reference to the role of the church in Cameroon, and for everybody that is a Christian, no matter what faith you believe in, it's really important that you hold your priest, hold your pastor accountable to just tell the truth. That's all the people of Cameroon are asking for. Uphold the truth. We're not asking you to be a laker. We're not asking you to be the Minister of Territorial Administration or the Constitutional Council. We're asking you to be a Cameroonian and stand for what represents Cameroon, and that is the truth. And if many of us, if so many voices can just say the truth, that in itself begins to make a difference, because that's what delegitimizes the BR regime, continues to delegitimize the BR regime. That's on the one hand. The news roundup, the Catholic Church put itself in the middle of the storm with the comments made by Archbishop Kia that seem to have been intended to address the concerns that Cameroonian people have, but I think it just fanned the flames and made people a lot more even conscious that the Catholic Church is perceived, whether they're acting in cahoots or not, it is perceived to be acting in collaboration with the government of Cameroon, because we're asking just the truth. Rien que la vérité, c'est ce qu'on demande. Ce n'est rien que la vérité. Et je pense que chaque évêque, chaque prêtre doivent être à mesure de dire ce qui est vrai. Ce qui est vrai est que M. Chiroma a gagné les élections, et c'est tout ce qu'on demande. And if everyone can be doing that, if every organization, the Bar Council of Cameroon, and I'm challenging the Bar Council because I'm a member of the Bar Council of Cameroon, I'm challenging the Bar Council of Cameroon to stand for the truth, to not only take a nuanced position to say what they know and challenge Elecam to prove the contrary, saying that to the drivers' union, saying that to every aspect of the country, just tell the truth. And if we all can do that, then there will be no controversy. In fact, we begin to isolate the elite class of Cameroon that is divorced from the Cameroonian people. That's what is needed. And obviously, the whole question of that same elite going to Yaoundé first, we're seeing political leaders who went into an election, who know who won the elections, not even having the courage to be able to say who won the elections. And those same political leaders are preparing for municipal elections and legislative elections. And it will be foolhardy anyone to go and support a political party that doesn't have the courage to say the truth. And as it stands in Cameroon, not one political party has been able to acknowledge, to come out and say what the truth is of these elections. Not SDF, not PCRN, not UD. I think the only one is the UDC that has said that. And then, of course, the MRC, which was not part of the elections itself. But there is not one of them. So as it stands, there may not be a political opposition in Cameroon. I'm, knowing that maybe the MRC will not even be allowed to go into the elections, knowing the track record that Atanganji has with the MRC, there seems to be none. The only opposition in Cameroon is the Cameroonian people, is the civil society, and they demonstrated that in the election. So it's really big, deep conversations here. And I was going to pass this on to you, Eric, to just close us out. But I see Najela's hand is up, and I want to bring Najela into this conversation.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. I've been listening with great anxiety, as well as great positivity. So anxiety and positivity. And I just wanted to throw in another point of view. And I agree with everything that has been said. I see what the church has done and what the church has not done. And I just want to move us, as we complete this discussion with the church, on another arena, which is the diaspora. And I know we've been speaking about diaspora engagement. We have had a lot of diaspora engagement in terms of passion, in terms of donations, in terms of participation in Project C. And I wanted us to throw another question. And I know we did a survey at the beginning of this whole discussion after the election on what the diasporans, as well as what Cameroonians on the ground want. And the predominant answer was change of regime, if I remember correctly. They want a change of government. However, I also want to throw in another aspect. Another question is, what will the diasporans gain from this? And maybe if we put that into context, we may draw a lot of the people who are not seeing the value of this struggle, who have been, we have been shut down for 43 years. And most people are saying, what will we gain from this? So maybe if we just take that perspective and throw out another question to diaspora, what can we gain from this? Are there options where there is a digital agency to support diasporans as they go back into the country? It's a discussion that has to be had with what I call our future government. I don't think it can happen with this government. But if we can sit down and start charting down ways of diasporans engaging more in the country and what they will gain? Are there some, I know we've talked about dual citizenship. I know we've talked about, what about tax breaks? What about, ways of making people get into the country without, resistance? What about, there's so many things that we can start chatting and talking with President Chiroma that will draw the diaspora into this engagement more. And I think everything will flow from there. But I think we need to ask that questions for diasporans to think about this as we come back next Saturday. What do you want? What is in this for me? I woke up the other day dreaming of a diasporan village in Cameroon that will set a prototype for the rest of the country. How can we facilitate that to happen? If people are investing money in this struggle, how can that money, can we say you invest 100%, 50% goes into something that is actually growing the country and growing the diasporan village that will stand as a prototype for the rest of the country? I know there are prototypes in other countries that this has happened. Ghana, for example. Can we start imitating some of the things that the government has facilitated for diasporans to come in and make a difference? And I'll yield the floor from this. But I think we should start next Saturday with that question. What do diasporans want?
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Before you said it, I had been thinking about, okay, why don't we just make this the conversation for next Saturday? So we have our theme for next Saturday's conversation. And
first thing is dual citizenship.
Yeah. I mean,
I know that prior to the elections, in the conversation that we had with President-elect Chiroma on this same platform, he made that his number one priority, and he said that the diaspora, and he continues, even up to this moment, believing in that the key to the liberation of Cameroon is going to come from the diaspora.
Yeah.
And the opportunities of the diaspora abound. That means it's a world of unlimited possibilities. And you can look from country to country. There's examples. There's even Nigeria next door that has a mortgage program for
there we go.
To come back and build in Nigeria, giving loans to the diaspora to be able to build in Nigeria. What that does is it keeps the local economy going, because you're hiring builders and all of those people, and you have a group of people here that are likely to pay for that. So this is something we're going to unpack next week.
Yes.
And we Nigella, you can come in as a guest speaker for next week. But I think we would think about this. We have even a Project C behind the scenes of speaking about this diaspora conference, where the goal of that diaspora conference is really to put in place a plan for Cameroon, right? What does the next 6 years or the next 5 years of Cameroon mean? And that plan will take into consideration the role of the diaspora and how we can capitalize on all of the talent and experience that the diaspora has, that we can bring to Cameroon, not to compete with the people in Cameroon, because that's the fears.
To enhance.
To complement and enhance and help more, the 30 million Cameroonians achieve their greatest potential. There is enormous possibility. And maybe, yes, to your point, maybe that will become a rallying factor for the diaspora.
Yes.
Maybe that mobilizes more people to see themselves as participating in the fruits of this labor that we labor every day. So, and you have now, I was trying to round up now, and I see two more hands. You've opened a conversation that I'm hoping we continue next week. But I'll allow Amel and Judith to just have short comments, and then we're going to end here and then plan for next week and make it a really, really big splash across the diaspora. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Ajay. Amel?
Yeah, good evening, Benson.
Thanks.
Yeah, I want to touch a word on what she just said concerning the diaspora, and say that, as you rightly said, President Chiroma knows that the diaspora is key in the forthcoming governance, because even in his campaign trail and all that he did up to his victory, his landslide victory, the diaspora has been playing a very, very significant role. And he knows that it is the diaspora that will help him to carry out the program that he has for the new governors in Cameroon. So President Chiroma is counting very, very much. He will dwell very, very much on the diaspora, because what this regime has done was to sideline, to frustrate the diaspora, and that is one of the explanations to the havoc and the chaos that we have in Cameroon, because no country in the modern history has been developed without its diaspora. Take South Korea or China or Rwanda, Ghana, you name them, there are so many. So you cannot do without your diaspora. You have to do with them. You have to get them involved in the governance, because they have the expertise, they have the competence, and they are willing to participate in the building of their nation. So I'll be very eager to participate in the next week meeting here on the platform, because I know it will be very, very exciting. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Amel. We will see you next week as we tackle this question of how the diaspora can benefit from a transformation in Cameroon. I will bring in Judith.
Yes, I'm just trying to situate my camera so you can see me. Okay. Yes.
Yes, there you are. We can see you. I'm not. This is the first time I'm seeing you. The New Year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year, and happy New Year to
birthday.
everybody.
I think your birthday was yesterday or so.
Oh, you didn't have to say that on. That's okay. Thank you. Thanks. I don't want to be the spoiler here, but great points from Nigeria, right? We already agree that as the diaspora, we've not been able to work with the current administration, with the current government. Everybody agrees that. It was obvious during the elections for the results that were read on the night, or the results that we also on the night of the election itself, that the diaspora overwhelmingly voted for ITB. So that's not in question. ITB made those comments even when he came to Project C about working with the diaspora. That not in question. The question we should be asking, and I think let's not put the cart before the horse, is for all these great plans that Nigel has talked about, Amel has talked about, we all know ITB has talked about, for those to materialize, ITB needs to get into government. For me, the question we should be asking is, what is the diaspora doing to help make sure that the results of 12 October are materialized? What is it that me, you, all the diaspora are doing to get ITB to this, so that all these good plans that we are talking about should be implemented, right? We cannot be talking about those plans when we know that the person who will help implement them is not there. Yeah. We need to plead the diaspora to get involved, to make sure that the results of that election are implemented. That should be our primary role, our job now, right? On the other hand, yes, you can also walk and chew gum, right? There could be a committee in the background working in all those good plans and saying that if and when ITB comes in, these are the things we want. Fine, a group of people can be working on that. But the primary objective now is we know we cannot make those things work with this regime. There was an election, somebody won, we need to get that person in and get those good plans working. For me, that's the important thing. Please, diaspora, what are you doing to get the right person to A2D? That's the question.
Thanks, Judith. So now we have, this is a great debate because we have two perspectives to the question, what is the role of the diaspora in ensuring that there's change in Cameroon so that the diaspora can flourish, right, in that context? So we'll frame this, and that will be, I think, the first part of our conversation really has to be challenging the diaspora to play its part in this process. Or maybe the first part be, what's the opportunity and how do we make this opportunity come to fruition? But that's something that we would discuss next year. And it may be even good for us to find somebody from another country like Rwanda or Ghana that can talk to us about how or even Senegal, how the diaspora played a role in bringing to change in Ghana, and we know the Gambia as well, that that the diaspora has played significant opportunity for the change that took place in Gambia. And we can look at those examples, but next week we're going to touch on this subject. And for those of you that are in the diaspora that are listening, please, we count on your support, your money, your time, your dime, everything. Talking to other people, mobilizing as many people to the conversation. And for those of you in Cameroon, it would also be important for you to share with us what expectations you have of the diaspora. The one should never be against the other, because I know that too often in Cameroon, the government has succeeded in pitting the diaspora against the people in Cameroon. Again, it's time for us to round up. Junior, you put up your hand, and I know Junior wants to talk about this question of the diaspora. I'm wondering whether we should leave this for next week. Let's wrap up now so that we don't continue with the conversation that is meant for next week. But at least this week, we've really touched on this question of the church, and we should hold everyone accountable, every sector of society accountable. Yes, and that includes the church, the Catholic Church, the Baptist, Presbyterian, and all the evangelist church. I'm reminded of a song that fella played, which every time I think about this, it says, "Get out of every goddamn celestica." And think about the future of your country. With that, I'm going to, Janelle, I see you have your hand up. I'll just give you a minute so that we can round up here this session.
Yes.
Just a minute.
About the topic about the church. So, le rôle de l'Église catholique, la crise par rapport à la crise au Cameroun, j'avais oublié de me prononcer parce que par rapport à tout ce que le père Ludovic Lado a bien expliqué avec les éléments factuels sur la population de ce qui s'est passé par rapport au scrutin, c'était clair, l'Église catholique a des éléments pendant le scrutin. Après, ils avaient compilé. Ils ont tous les éléments factuels pour déclarer. Bon, maintenant, vous savez que le régime de Yaoundé a tout fait pour diviser l'Église. Donc, il y a deux factions. Pourquoi je ne pouvais pas ne pas vous dire qu'au niveau de Douala, par exemple, vous avez vu l'archevêque de Douala, Monseigneur Sanepeda, qui s'est prononcé. Et même dernièrement encore, qui est allé à la prison de Nubel, qui a fait des dons contre les prisonniers, qui a fait une homélie et qui a déclaré beaucoup de choses concernant le pardon et la rectitude que le régime doit avoir pour compenser les pertes et apaiser les tensions. On a vu également l'évêque de Bafoussam, monseigneur Paul Lottier, qui a fait également une très très bonne sortie pendant pendant Noël et tout ça. Il a beaucoup dit, il a beaucoup parlé. Il est revenu également sur ce discours de paix et d'apaisement. Pareil également pour l'évêque de Yagua. Donc c'était pour vous dire qu'il y a une partie de l'Église, vous savez, l'Église, c'est vrai, il y a le conseil épiscopal qui est basé à Boya, qui siège, qui est l'autorité de l'Église. On a également le nonce apostolique qui est reçu régulièrement à Yaoundé par le président et qui annonce même que bientôt il y a l'arrivée du pape. Donc, vous pouvez imaginer tout ce qui se passe autour de ça, toutes ces tractations pour l'arrivée du pape. Et quand on sait bien qu'avant même les élections, il y a eu des consultations. Donc, il y a l'Église, une bonne partie des évêques de l'Église catholique qui ont été consultés, qui sont allés au palais, qui ont rencontré M. Ngongo. On a vu ça. Donc, aujourd'hui, on ne peut pas être surpris de voir qu'il y a une fraction qui essaye de se dédier et essayer de dire que l'Église, pour la foi et les politiciens, vraiment que les fidèles oublient la politique parce que non, on ne peut pas penser comme ça. Parce qu'il y a une partie peut-être aujourd'hui instrumentalisée, parce qu'on a vu ça aussi à l'époque avec Monseigneur Barga et le cardinal qui ne pas toujours d'accord. À un moment donné, il fallait se faire. On les éducations. On n'est pas d'accord au prêtre. Et tout, nous dire que non, vous avez et tout ça, ne regardez pas ça, c'est des subventions. Or, on comprend bien que ce sont des cadeaux, ce sont des dotations et ça peut être aussi interprété comme pension. Donc ça, il ne faut pas oublier ça et voilà pourquoi j'avais oublié de revenir dessus. Et pour vous dire que nous avons le soutien d'une bonne partie de l'Église, des églises catholiques, c'est-à-dire que les archevêques, les évêques qui sont avec nous. Donc, ceux qui se prononcent là sont ceux qui sont aussi d'un bord, qui peuvent être instrumentalisés et ils savent un agenda qui est international avec le nonce apostolique. Merci beaucoup pour le petit moment qu'on m'a donné. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup, Julien. Yes, I'm glad you brought up the point. So it's not total condemnation, and the goal of this was never to condemn the church, but to express an expression of what the Cameroonian people feel, and the admiration as well, to your point, for those who are in the church, who are doing what they can to condemn what's happening, visiting prisoners, for example, the Monsignor Cleda in Douala, and what the declarations that is made, the Bishop of Bafoussam, as you mentioned, the Bishop of Yagua as well, who are all people. I know there was also one Presbyterian pastor that was very eloquent about the elections and spoke about how the injustice of the outcome of the elections when we look at what happened in the northwest and southwest provinces of Cameroon. There is just so much that cannot be ignored if you believe in the truth. And that is where we have a problem with anyone who is not capable of bringing themselves to have the conscience to just state what the truth is. We're not asking you to change it. We're asking you to state the facts as they are, what you know, what you experienced. And that brings us to a concluding statement. Eric, I'll turn this back to you to close us out. And thank you to everyone that stood the 3-hour test.
Thank you, Ari. I'll just say one quick thing, and then I'll come back to you to just say goodbye to everybody. That's the way it should be. A couple of things I want to say. One is, we've got to, I was hoping we'll have time this week to do it, but we didn't, and it's good. We will do it next week. Also, find time to talk about the return of Issa Jerome Bakari to Cameroon. We really have to carve a time out, and it's my appeal to Ari, I guess, carve time out either next week or the week after to seriously talk about how we get Issa Jerome back to Cameroon. That's one. And the role, I know that I think it's Judith or somebody else or like Angela who brought up. Yes. but we need to see how the diaspora can help in ensuring that Chiroma goes back home. And we, just so you know, we're working on a plan to that effect. We're not giving anything away, I hope, but we definitely will have enough to talk about next week about how Issa Chiroma returns home. And as Judith said rightly, I mean, if he doesn't go home, none of this, none of this has any relevance for us. So we'll do that. And the last thing I just wanted to say is, just to, have you thinking about it. The U.S. ambassador who's leaving Cameroon met last week with, in the absence of Mr. Chiroma, met with Barrister Alice Nkom, who's the spokesperson of Mr. Chiroma. It's an important thing to take a note of, and we'll talk about that next week or during the week. Another final point I want to make is the this presence of Mr.
More importantly, the purpose, the mission of the church itself is social justice, justice for our people. So how can the church go on with its Episcopal Conference without focusing on the 2,500 people who are arrested? How can the church go on in its conversation, in its mission, without the thousands of people who were killed, the 64 people who died in the post-election? How can the church not make a statement about Anicet Ekane killed in detention? How can the church not be able to have those conversations? Then for what purpose does the church exist? And to the extent that the church represented the people in the consultations that took place before the presidential election, who gave this church the mandate to meet with the president of the republic? It is the people in itself. So we had this conversation, and this may be a conversation that goes on with all sectors of society that have to play a part in this transformation that we need, because teachers cannot be paid and doctors go to work. That's not correct. We have, as Cameroonians, we must bring ourselves to walk in each other's shoes. The drivers cannot be harassed on the streets by the police and then we drive past. and say that's none of our business, because those things have a way of coming around to each one of us. So my brothers and sisters, this struggle is well alive. This resistance is as strong as necessary. As Eric said, there are plans about a future. This 2026, I said, is end game. It's game over for the Biya regime. They're running out of gas, and we need to help them run out of gas faster than expected. I want to thank you all for the continuous sacrifice that you continue, the faith, the belief that you have in Project C. And I ask everybody to own it, to take the destiny of Project C into your hands, as well as the destiny of Cameroon into your hands. We will overcome. Thank you all. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. We'll be back next Saturday to challenge the diaspora and its role and the future of Cameroon. Thank you.